into the day with the dawn ringing in my ears. Oh, I tune to my TV show. No better way, I gotta get myself into gear. Let's go. Oh, and I feel good today with my wake up in the morning espresso. I feel good today. It's my feel good breakfast show.
Can we just take a moment to smile right now? It is Thursday here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. The time now is 6 o'clock. A start to a brand new day here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. As always, my name is Jamie Lee Domberg.
And I'm Ryle Demone, and I've got to say, Jamie, yellow because you are looking beautiful indeed.
Wow, you are the business, my friend. Looking so hot in the polo neck. You know, I always come through for a man in the polo neck. Oversized shirt. Looking dapper, must I say. But of course, as you heard Mr. Ryle Demone's punt this morning, we're all about the bees this morning as we commemorate World Bee Day. And we're also reminding ourselves how important this insect really is and also their vital role for pollination.
It is, and such an exciting show, so much importance. I'll be meeting bee farmer and entrepreneur Mabato Portia Morudito, and she's going to be chatting about beekeeping and agricultural products in the business. And then we've got the resident, our techie Grant Hines in the building. He's talking about all the technology we have and actually are able to adopt from the humble bee to take it to that next level.
And of course, we're going to come through with all of the amazing recipes for you, and everything has been inspired, guess by what? Our hero ingredient, the honey, baby. So everything is going to be sweet, it's going to be sugar, it's coming your way for the next 3 hours. And someone who's buzzing and looking beautiful and just, you know, a queen in our own is Miss Zoe Brown this morning. Good morning to you, Zoe.
Oh, that was unbelievable. Thank you for that sweet little introduction, Jamie Lee, and a very good morning to you at home. As you heard, we are all about the bees today, and today we want to ask you on social media, what is your favorite bee pun? So if you have a favorite one, head on over to our Expresso Facebook page, let us know. And since it is World Bee Day, we thought we would have some fun with that. And I mean, there are so many, and I'm trying to think of one in particular, and it's just like, well, how's this? To be or not to be? That's one of it. And you know what? I actually hope in the kitchen we make a Gatsby. I know, that would be quite nice. But anyway, don't ask me to get in with the puns. How about you do that? Head on over to the Expresso Facebook page. Use that hashtag Expresso Show as we continue to celebrate World Bee Day throughout the morning. And there's one sweet lady that's about to bring you the morning headlines.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Yes, time for your news. We start off with the national news. The South African Embassy in Palestine is engaged in efforts to assist South Africans who wish to return home amid escalating violence between Israel and Palestine. Now, this comes as the Department of International Relations and Cooperation has launched a 24-hour hotline to assist South Africans with information about their relatives in Gaza. Now, former SA ambassador to Palestine, Ashraf Suleiman, says the situation is alarming for South Africans in Gaza. He said every effort was being made to repatriate South Africans. Consumer price inflation in April rose to 4.4% year-on-year. Now, this is 1.2 percentage points higher than in March. Statistics SA released this figure yesterday and said it was the highest reading since before the lockdown, which was the 4th and the 6th in February of last year. Now, 4.6 in February of last year. Now, the largest contributors to the higher inflation rate are food and fuel prices. The Reserve Bank's inflation target is between 3 and 6%. The bank's Monetary Policy Committee is expected to announce its interest rate decision today. Now, moving on over to international news, African and European leaders have agreed to push wealthier nations to reallocate $100 billion in International Monetary Fund reserves to African states. Now, after the summit held in Paris yesterday, it was said that a substantial financial package was needed so African countries are not left behind in an economic recovery from the global health crisis. France's President Emmanuel Macron confirmed that France and several other European countries were aboard with this. And then researchers have found that it's safe to use 2 different COVID-19 vaccines for the first and second vaccination. Spanish researchers say it's safe and effective to administer the Pfizer vaccine to people who have already received the AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, the research found that the immunity in people who received the Pfizer vaccine was between 30 and 40 times greater than the control group that received the AstraZeneca vaccine only. And next, there's no reason to believe that bees can't experience some sort of emotion. Well, so maybe bees don't get warm and fuzzy when watching a romantic comedy or sad when they spot a fallen puppy, but scientists from London's Queen Mary University say they can indeed experience something akin to a rush of optimism. Now, a cognitive neuroethologist at the university, Clint Perry, told Popular Science that there's no reason to believe that bees can't experience some sort of emotion. Perry and his colleagues devised an experiment to test the emotional state of bees by creating an environment that contained a blue bee-sized door with sweetened water and a green one with plain water, and recorded how long it took the bees to enter a door. Now, the researchers then rewarded half of the bees with a treat of more sweetened water and offered a blue-green option, for example, a mystery door. Now, the bees that were given an extra shot of sugar dashed to the blue-green door, and the others not so much. The sweet bees were quicker to optimistically fly through the strange new door to check if more sugar was waiting on the other side. Now, Perry and co. concluded that the sugar was giving them, a high similar to a human enjoying a favorite snack. Now, incidentally, how do we really know that bees are happy? Well, they hum while they work. Well, let me hum and let's buzz on over to the sports headlines. Here's Raul Demone.
Fear sees right off. Fearless sees better car.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jamie. Now to look at our local sport. And we're starting off with the Premier League soccer, and goals by Michael Gumede, Pule Modi and Tako Makubela guided Golden Arrows to a 3-0 victory over the TS Galaxy at the Sugar Ray Ngulu Stadium yesterday. Now, this has been Abafa Bestende's biggest win in the league since defeating Amazulu 4-1 in 2017. And in other results, PSL results from yesterday, Cape Town City Football Club and Maritzburg United played out to a goalless draw at the Cape Town Stadium. Now the Citizens remain in 7th place, with Maritzburg moving up to the 12th spot following the draw. And now sticking to soccer and moving over to the Premier League, where Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool secured a 3-0 win over Burnley to move up to 4th place in the English Premier League standings, with one league match remaining for the season. Now Tottenham Hotspurs, however, on the other hand, suffered a 2-1 loss to Aston Villa, denting their European hopes as they sit in 7th place in the league. And in other results, Arsenal registered a 3-1 away win to Crystal Palace, and at the Hawthorns, West Ham United saw off West Brom 3-1. Now, all 20 Premier League teams will be in action on Sunday as the season concludes with that final result to see who takes home that crown. And now, finally, in our sport, we're looking at Olympic International Committee Chief Thomas Bach yesterday announced that at least 3/4 of athletes and team members staying in Tokyo's Olympic Village will be vaccinated by the Games. Now, in a meeting with Olympic officials, Bach confirmed that as many as 75% of residents of the Olympic Village are already vaccinated or have secured vaccination in time before the Games. Now, in light of a recent poll, many of Japan's citizens want the event postponed or cancelled as the country battles a new wave of coronavirus infections. Now, that's a roundup of our sport for this morning. Let's see what's happening first up with our weather. To take a look at our weather, and a big thank you to all of you that take the time to share your sunrise photos with us. We really, truly do love seeing how you start your day, wherever it may be. And to start us off this morning, we are looking at the picturesque image received from Andrew Harris in Belito, overlooking the ocean as the sun rises. What a powerful shot indeed. Now, your day ahead will be partly sunny with a maximum of 29 degrees Celsius. And regular contributor Gary Orkamp, a family of ours from East London, shared this image of the sky showing off the spectacular hues of blue and orange as it transitions into the start of the day. Now in East London, Gary, you can expect similar conditions to Belito, also reaching a maximum of 29 degrees Celsius. Now, of course, if you'd like to share your sunrise photos with us, it's really that simple. Just head over to our Expresso Facebook page to share your photo and location with us. And of course, we can't forget our growing community of international viewers tuning in via the Africa channel and YouTube and this morning is no different. Now, if you are based in Maputo, Mozambique, then this weather update is just for you. Maputo is the capital as well as the most populous city in Mozambique. Now, Maputo is positioned within 120 kilometers of the Eswatini and South African borders, and it's situated on a large natural bay on the Indian Ocean, near where the rivers Tembe, Mbuluzi, Matola, and Infululene converge. Now, if you are in Maputo today, you can expect a warm day ahead, reaching maximum of 30 degrees Celsius. And in another major winter storm made landfall in the Western Cape last evening and will continue throughout the day today. Now, the SA Weather Service expects significant rainfall between 30 and 40 millimeters over the Cape Town metropole, where Theewaterskloof and the western parts of the Cape Winelands will be affected. And a secondary cold front tomorrow will even bring light snowfall to the Western Cape, where the weather is even said to be very, very cold indeed. Now, the Western Cape MEC for Local Government, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, Anton Bredel, said the bulk of the rainfall was expected to occur mostly this morning into the afternoon, with continuous showers into tomorrow, but clearing by the afternoon. Now, Bredel said the heavy rain is expected to lead to localized flooding of susceptible formal or informal settlements and roads, low-lying areas, as well as bridges. And he added that increased travel time could be expected due to slippery roads and difficult conditions. Now, to take a look at the rest of the weather around the country, we're starting off with Polokwane, a low of 9 and a high of 24 degrees with 0 rain expected. We've got Mbombela, a low of 15 and a high of 30 degrees. We've got Pretoria with a low of 10 and a high of 23. Johannesburg, a low of 9 and a high of 21. Mahikeng, a high of 26 degrees Celsius, starting off on a low of 7. Klerksdorp, very similar, a high of 25 with a low of 7. Kimberley, coming in very much the same, slight percent chance of rain, 2%, 25 degrees, high with a 5% or 5 degree low. Bloemfontein, starting off with 3 degrees, nice and chilly, and then moving all the way up to 24 degrees Celsius. Richards Bay, starting off with a high of 20, and then moving all the way through to 30 degrees Celsius. Pietermaritzburg, starting off with a low of 9, going all the way up to 29 degrees Celsius. Durban, 18 with a low and a high of 30 degrees. Mthatha, a low of 9 and a high of 29. East London, starting off at 14 degrees, moving all the way through to 29 Celsius. Cradock, 6 degrees to start your day off, and then moving all the way to 25. Mabega, starting off with 12 degrees, moving all the way to 23 degrees Celsius. The 25% chance of rain coming through. And then George, starting off with 10, moving all the way through to 20. Some rain expected over there. Cape Town, 100% chance of rain today, starting off at 14 and only moving up to 17. So a chilly one there. Worcester, very similar, a 7 degree low and a high of 14 with 80% chance of rain. Sutherland, starting off with a low of 6 and a high of 12 degrees with some rain coming through. And then Uppington, no rain expected, just a low of 7 and a high of 24 degrees. Now that's a roundup of the weather for this morning. It looks like the ladies are trying to become even more beautiful with a new look. So let's see what they're up to.
Oh, thank you, Raul. Well, you know what? We're in the beauty room, and since we are celebrating World Bee Day, I'm wearing a shirt that's perfect for bees. But Jamie Lee, she needs a little bit of a zhuzh for her outfit. So the cold weather, it is here, it has arrived, and we've heard a lot about athleisure, multifunctional dressing, and what knitwear trends to look out for this autumn and this winter. So I have decided to take on the role of Jamie's personal stylist for this morning. So let's see if I can make our beauty and fashion editor, Knox Mafu, proud. So Jamie, as you can see, there are some beautiful pieces here.
Yes.
We went for a more neutral tone. As you can see, myself and Raul, we're wearing dark colors. So I'm wearing black, white, and caramel. So these are the pieces that's available. You're wearing denims, which is quite fun. Do you want to try that jacket on? It's a nice coat.
I do.
Perfect for this weather.
Never in my life did I ever think I was going to say that Zoe Brown is my stylist for the day. I'm going to take full advantage of this because we do have a very different style. But I think with regards to 2021 trends, we already see that everything is neutral, everything is athleisure, it's multifunctional. So I love that I can pop this on.
And it completely transforms your look. So as you can see here, I've got beautiful cardigans for us to choose from. That is a nice jacket. There we go. This is perfect for when you're on the go.
Definitely.
Okay, so for on the show, I think we should maybe play around with some of the cool pieces we have. So let's start closest to you. There's a nice little skirt.
Ooh,
but it is a bit chilly today.
I'm not trying to show legs today.
You're not trying to show legs today?
No, Mama's not trying to show legs today.
But that's perfect with a pair of stockings. We've got some knitty hoodies here. We've got a pair of leggings, a camel bodycon dress, I actually feel like this would be perfect for you. Because you, with your amazing transformation, that teeny tiny waist, I think that dress will highlight it perfectly, especially if you put a little bit of a belt to it.
Okay, so we're going for this one, my stylist?
I think we should go for that.
Do you think Knox would be proud?
Should be very proud, and you'd be matching my pants.
Okay, so we're going to be matchy-matchy. Zoe's got me sorted for this day, everybody.
There we go. Well, the great Wolfgang Joop once said, fashion is about suspense and surprise and fantasy. It's not about rules. So there we go. Jamie, this sure is going to be suspenseful and beautifully and surprisingly good, because for one day I get to live the fantasy of being a stylist and your stylist. So I'm very excited for that. So stay tuned to see how the look turns out.
Okay.
You ready?
Let's go. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you want?
Oh, you can make my day. It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, you beautiful souls. It's live. We're opening up right here on S3, of course, and we are tuned into Expresso, and it's World Bee Day, which is celebrated every year on the 20th of May. Now, South African bee farmer and entrepreneur Mabato Portia Modudi was inspired to enter the world of beekeeping with the guidance of her grandfather. And today, Mabato, together with her partner Desmond Modudi, own a beekeeping and agricultural produce business. And the exceptional beekeeper is joining us this morning via video call as we commemorate World Bee Day 2021. Mabato, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good, thanks, and yourself?
Oh, very good. Firstly, love the color you're wearing. It looks absolutely amazing on you. And I want to thank you for joining us so early in the morning on a cold one, it seems, out here in Cape Town. But I got to ask you, can you take us back to where it all actually even started? How did you get involved in beekeeping?
Thank you, Ryle. And thank you to your viewers. So how our journey actually started, it was in 2012. At the time, we had a problem on the farm. So I grew up on a farm whereby bees would actually settle in the ceiling, produce so much honey that the ceiling would cave in. Year in, year out, growing up, this was a norm. And what we would generally do, like any family that didn't know better, we would be using tires and we'd be using insecticides to try and get rid of these bees. Until such a time in 2012 when my grandfather then took all the grandchildren for a course in beekeeping, enjoyed it so much, and I quit my job and set out on this journey.
Wow. And I must just say, I'm just picturing honey coming out of my ceiling. That sounds like a dream, like Willy Wonka. I'll just put all my tea and coffee up in the ceiling and get some honey. What a story. But you started the business, of course, and a bee farming initiative, which you focused on creating and finding a conducive environment for bees to thrive in our country. So can you tell me more about this initiative?
Yep. So when we started, having grown up in a rural community, so from this course that we did, what I then found out, oh my word, apologies, I'm in a hotel.
Oh, no problem. It looks like the lights just went out on you over there. We can definitely tell that you are in South Africa, of course, so don't worry about that. If you can still continue talking for now, that's cool, because I would love to keep you on the line, because I want to know more about bees. So you're more than welcome to still answer the question if you're comfortable with that.
Okay. So what I actually picked, oh, there we go. Thank goodness. What we picked up from the actual course was that bee populations were declining. That was one. And there was a global shortage of good quality honey. That was the second thing. And thirdly, having grown up in a deep remote village, I knew that there was sort of a link in terms of natural resource that the bees could benefit from. And then we set out to say, let us bring together our rural communities and these bees and set up bee sanctuaries where they can thrive and we can produce this good quality honey.
Yeah, now I love the fact that you involve the community, number one, because I think that education alone is so important, because bees are sometimes viewed as an enemy to humans, essentially, right? But for me, not only facing the obstacle of being in a community, but as a woman as well on top of it, what were some of the obstacles you faced within the entire industry as a whole?
I think the first obstacle we should look into was our communities. So just generally, nobody necessarily likes bees. So that was one of the main things that we really struggled with, trying to say to people, come, let's get into the space of beekeeping. A lot of people were very skeptical. Deep remote villages, they were not interested in getting involved in the initiative before. And because we went into it at a time where a lot of people were not aware of beekeeping, it was sort of quite difficult to get into the market and coming up with volumes that would be ideal for sort of your retail space or people. So you produce a certain small amount at a certain point, and then at another point you don't have any honey at all. So that had to grow over the years, and doing it sustainably as well. We had to start that education around how do we do it sustainably.
Oh, wow. Well, look, I mean, I'm already excited just hearing your story of how you got involved in bees, but I'm glad to know that we are going to have a second round at chatting to you, because I want to know how I can get my own beehive started. So we will be back with our bee farm and entrepreneur, Mapato Portia Modudi, right after this. And next, we're going to be discussing the process of getting into beekeeping and bee farming and a taste of honey, which makes every recipe more delicious. And we have everything that you want to know right now. Check it out.
Yes, bring the family. 100%. Your cousin's coming over. Get the crush and I'll get the ice.
The whole family.
More Crush Milk, 100% refreshing, 100% goodness.
Made with love by Clover.
Oh, well, listen, it's time for us to spend some time in the kitchen because when unexpected visitors arrive, you can easily whip up some scones and honey butter in under 30 minutes. And you can simply just grab your Crush 100% goodness out of the cupboard and serve with these scrumptious treats that Ilham Banuba Anwar is about to show us how to make. And these are basic ingredients that most people will have in their pantry, right?
Yeah. So it's only 4 ingredients that you need.
That's my kind of recipe.
Yeah. So we're using self-raising flour, so you don't need any baking powder or anything like that. And then we've got some soda water and some sugar and some cream. So we're just going to go straight in with the sugar into our bowl.
Dry ingredients.
So
okay.
yeah, so everything is in one bowl, which is also makes this recipe so nice. And then I'm going to add the cream. So this is just double thick cream. And then we've got some of our soda water here. And then I'm going to use a knife. Now, you know, traditionally with a scone recipe, you cut your, you either rub your butter or cut your butter in with a knife. So we're going to do that same technique, but just with these 4 ingredients. And, you know, if you don't have soda water, you can actually use like a lemonade.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe just like a can of lemonade or a can of soda.
I think a lot of people always have soda water. I believe it's very good if you've got like cramps in your legs to drink a glass of soda water before you go to bed. That's what my mom said, yeah. So there we go.
Yeah.
I love how this is like 100% the easiest recipe I've come across, especially when it comes to making scones.
Yeah.
I'm a cheater. I buy the pre-made pack when you just have to add your ingredients, but this way you know what is in your recipe.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, sometimes I do that too because this is so easy. You can whip it up, especially if, you know, you have unexpected guests and they just arrive at the door and you're not sure what to do. You can just make this in 30 minutes. So, you know, with the scones, we're not supposed to knead the dough, so we just want it to come together. So I'm going to turn this out on here.
Clover crush, there we go.
Okay. And I'm just sort of going to get this into...
Is there a reason you shouldn't knead scone dough?
So traditionally, you know, when you're cutting in the butter, you want the little pockets of air.
Okay.
So that kneading, basically, it's pockets of air. And if you knead the dough, then you're just going to get all of those pockets out. Yeah. So once we've kind of flattened this into like a round disc, we're going to take our little cutter and dip it into some flour. And then we're just going to
cut out our shapes.
Cut out our shapes. And then we're going to put this on the...
Amazing. So for how long would this go in the oven for?
So maybe about 15 to 20 minutes, just until, you know, normally with scones you check the bottom to see if they're done. So when you've got this nice sort of like golden color at the bottom and they've risen. And also another tip would be if you tap them and if they sound hollow, then they're done.
Then they're ready.
Yeah, then they're ready.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna, can I help you here with the honey butter?
Yes.
Because I've never made honey butter before. So we've got some butter here.
Yeah.
That's been, it's room temperature, so I'll just soften it up for us.
Yeah, so this is almost like, you know, you've heard of a compound butter, so like savory compound butters with like garlic and parsley. So this is almost like a sweet version of that, where we're adding some cinnamon and some vanilla, and we're also adding our honey into our butter. So that when you take your scones out of the oven and they're still warm, and you put this over, you know, the heat from the scones will just melt all of that buttery goodness. And we've got a really nice flavored scone, especially with the cinnamon and the vanilla.
I love cinnamon and vanilla. It's a winning flavor, and I'm going to add our honey.
Yeah.
There we go.
And then that's it.
Something different. Better than just normal butter.
Yeah.
There we go.
And it's also a nice change from your usual, you know, like cream and jam and that sort of thing.
True, and the traditional adding a bit of cheese. Well, listen, this is absolutely amazing. Ilham, I love how easy this recipe is. Of course, you just work the butter, get it all creamy, and you can serve it with your delicious scones. If you would love to get this recipe, we have it available on expressoshow.com. And remember to grab your Crush 100% goodness, because it's packed with full, like 3 different vitamins, as well as 100% goodness.
Yes, bring the family. 100%. Your cousin's coming over. Get the crush and I'll get the ice.
The whole family.
More Crush Mom, 100% refreshing, 100% goodness.
Made with love by Clover.
Welcome back, you beautiful souls. You're still locked in live right here on Expresso, and we're opening up with S3 and continuing our chat on this important day. We're talking about World Bee Day, and it's celebrated every year on the 20th of May. And we're chatting to Mabato Portia Marudi right now, our entrepreneur and beekeeper. And I'm hoping she's still on the line. Yes, she is. She's still there with us. And Portia, I wanted to ask you, of course, on more of a personal note, earlier we were discussing the educational value that you're adding to your community. You were talking about both, I would say, environmental as well as possibly the health benefits. But what's the reason and importance for you as to why raising the awareness of bees and beekeeping stands so close to you?
I think what we sitting on here is a ticking time bomb, if I may call it, because our bee populations are declining, and that has a very negative impact on food security. I believe it was Einstein that said without bees we'd have about 4 years of life left, and that's because they're one of the main pollinators for us. So for me, it was saying, how do I preserve them? How do I play a part in preserving bees for future generations, for my boys, for my family? How do we preserve this earth for future generations? And I think that's my way of giving back my labor of love, to say we go out into these villages, let's save the bees through these bee sanctuaries. And an added benefit to the communities is that they're benefiting from the honey sales.
I love that, man, and I think you just are truly leaving such a positive legacy with all that energy that you're putting out into this. Now, for those of us, and I think I'm definitely one that's slightly convinced because I'm very interested after listening to you, but if we're looking to get into beekeeping, what's the first thing we need to do, and what are some of the requirements when we start it up?
Starting, I always say training. That's number one. There's always a risk to beekeeping, so you have to also make sure and take precaution, especially for people that are allergic to bees. But training, research is the first step. So people think it's easy because it's not as labor intensive. It's a lot of hard work. You do a lot of nighttime work and every morning work when it comes to beekeeping, and depending on which area you're doing it in, you might find yourself working a lot in forests like I currently am doing. So, but training and research is the main thing. Wow. And I think practically going out there, joining a beekeeper, just to make sure that this is really something that you really want to go into and you have a heart for it.
Yeah, now, I'm going to be honest, Mabato, I believe and I know for sure that there's women out there watching this right now that have been inspired by you. So you're going to have to speak to the people right now and give them something special, because I think it's always important to see a woman in your position doing such incredible work, and you do inspire. So if you had an opportunity to speak to all these women out there that are trying to replicate what you're doing now as an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, what's the biggest piece of advice that you could give them?
So I would say it's possible. You know, when we started in 2012, I didn't think we would end up where we were. I was hopeful about the future, but looking at it now, it's amazing. So it can be done. It takes determination, hard work, and I've learned an important lesson over the last few weeks about just realizing what you're good at and doing that and bringing people on board that can help you do the rest. And that's where I'm at this point, to say together we can do so much more. I think answers to Africa, they lie here in Africa, and we can do it.
Well, Mabatu, I am truly inspired, and I can't thank you enough for joining us this morning and doing the incredible work that you are doing. And yeah, wishing you nothing but the best of luck for the rest of your adventures. And now, as we celebrate World Bee Day, let's make sure that we buy honey and other hive products that are from local beekeepers. And then at the same time, we can continue to raise awareness on the importance of bees. Mabatu, thank you so much for your time this morning. Have a beautiful one.
Thank you.
Well, definitely indeed, showing you the importance of honey, showing the importance of our world and how much bees play a part in that future.
Oh, thank you, Raul. You know what? I've been a busy bee the whole morning playing stylist to our very own Jamie. As you can see, I have these gorgeous pieces here from Woolworths. Earlier, we took a look through it, and now it's time to reveal what Jamie looks like, her final look. Can we get a drum roll, please? And can we get Jamie inside, please? Oh la la! Come so the camera can see you, girl.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thursday.
Oh, I love this. You have the world's tiniest waist and you need to show it off. What do you think of the look?
I absolutely love it. I also feel like Knox might be just gunning for you now because you might steal a job right now as the
I
new
won't
stylist.
steal her job, but I'm going to add stylist to my CV. How does that sound?
Sounds perfect to
My
me,
repertoire.
Zoe.
There we go.
Thank you so much for this
Jamie,
look.
you look incredible. And of course, if you are loving all of the pieces you've seen here, perhaps you are more into the hoodies. All of these looks and so much more is available at Woolworths. You can shop safely in-store, online, or through the Woolies app.
Bzz.
Looks cute.
The rich taste that says you've arrived. Uyingakara. Living a life of illusion. Leaving your finances on the rocks. In this world of Bazotina Bantu, do you want a bank that takes your money or a bank that takes your money seriously?
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh yes, it is World Bee Day here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. You're just opening up here on S3. Of course, it's time for tech news, and you might think of beekeepers as mere honey producers, but they are part of a growing trade where they lease their hives to farmers who need bees to pollinate their crops. Now, Grant Hines, our tech guru, is joining us now to talk about some of the technology geared towards saving these important insects. Grant Hines, you're looking...
Bees are one of the most important, if not the most important insect that we have. Actually, the whole of our ecology is super important, but bees are like the reason we get all of our foods. All the foods that we farm in South Africa, we need bees. So the best way to look after bees is to not eat their honey and keep them going. I'm a firm believer in that. But we need to make sure that we look after their beehives and that the populations are increasing. And technology is playing a big part in that. One of the first things that we're introducing, or the farmers are introducing, is something called Internet of Things. You guys know IoT, Internet of Things?
Internet of Things.
And with smart cameras, with artificial intelligence, they're able to identify predators. And when you're thinking of bees, you're like, who are the predators for bees besides us or honey badgers? Hornets and other competitive insects will be like strangers, or they'll lay their eggs inside different nests and become invasive as a species to those. So even AI can detect in a swarm which is an invasive species or not, which is a threat to the bees, which is wild to me. Like, what cameras are doing this? Also, like, swarming is a problem. So you want to be able to make sure that you can swarm like the bees correctly and identify what's happening around the bee. And that AI and that learning is helping to farmers to know where to put bee boxes, how to look after those bees, what the state of the hive is in, how they need to, get involved and fix that.
How exactly is this actually happening? Because I understand, yeah, it's an app, it's technology, but
so Internet of
is
Things.
It a visual thing? Is it a sensor?
Yeah,
like,
so
what are they?
There's sensors and there are cameras. All that information that they get together. They measure humidity, they measure the climate inside the nest, the hive. They have other cameras that are picking up the animals around them and identifying the shapes of the swarms, where the bees are going, where they're coming from, and all that information is collected. Wow. And harvesting that information allows farmers to make like smart decisions.
Yeah, so you can tell exactly what the state of the nest, the hive, the entire swarm, etc.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
How
wow.
accurate is these apps with regards to this?
They are, as far as I know, I'm not a farmer, but as far as I know, they're relatively accurate. And with all artificial intelligence, the more we use that stuff, the smarter it gets. The more information you can plug into the algorithm, the better the estimates are and the better the math is. Informed decisions. The next one is called Beebot, which is really interesting.
Okay.
Beebot?
Yeah, Beebot. It's cute, right? Beebot is usually, it's not really for commercial farmers yet. It's mostly for hobbyists. And it does a lot of things, including it has a robotic bee that, you know bees can dance, right?
A robotic bee.
So you know that bees communicate by dancing?
Yeah, they do those little shakes and bangs.
So to prevent the bees from swarming or different kinds of behavior, there's literally they've created a robotic bee that can dance for the rest of the beehive to communicate to them, to tell them...
Like it's a bee so.
A tabiso, I love that.
Okay, sorry, now I'm taking it off.
So yeah, so it's a really cool piece of technology that they're also introducing. But yeah, we do need to look after our beehives and our bees, and it's when we say that, don't get scared when you see a bee. Look after it; they're precious. Our entire food ecosystem relies on this one insect, and their populations are diminishing. So we need to look after them with as much technology and as much common sense that we can.
Oh, I love it, man. Gronin, thank you so much, because at the same time I see tech providing some educational value to this too, which is a massive component to this game. So onwards and upwards we go. We are being extra careful when we venture through, but we are having fun while we do it too. So stick around, of course. More to come.
Oh, well, it's definitely going to be a fantastic show today. And when it comes to tech, Vodacom are at the top of the game. They are tackling education in South Africa with their innovative e-learning platform, providing sound education for all and combining technology to connect everyone for a better future. Afternoon Express resident chef Tumi Mogai, she has first-hand experience. Let's take a look.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A policeman.
What?
Because I like chasing bad guys.
We know that not all children in South Africa have access to education and schooling materials. With this being a problem in building our future, Vodacom realizes this has to change with the use of technology and thus provide a better future for all.
Bohlokwa is 4 years old. He is currently in preschool going into grade R, and saying he means the world to me would be a lie because he means the world to me and a bag of chips. He's like everything to me right now. I recently got introduced to the Vodacom e-schooling platform, and it's been such an easy, user-friendly platform because even though my son is so young and still getting into, school and learning how the whole process works, he's a quick learner and has been able to grasp so much of it. And I thought at first that I might be putting him under pressure and expecting him to learn so much, but he just catches it all so quickly and easily. I'm loving the fact that everything that he learns at school actually correlates with what I'm teaching him just via this e-learning platform. Education in Africa as a continent, it hasn't been the most easily accessible thing to everyone, but knowing that I have this educational material right at my fingertips is so encouraging because as a parent, you want to know that you are playing a part in your child's growth and your child's education, And knowing that it's a facility or rather a platform that is free, if you're a Vodacom user, you've got this right at your fingertips. I feel like as a parent, you also wouldn't have an excuse to say, I don't know what's going on at school because it makes it so easy for you.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
We're going into an era where technology is the way forward. So what better way to incorporate education than through their phones, And knowing that you're able to monitor and check their progress and see how they're doing makes it so much easier for you as a parent. Vodacom user, you actually don't even need data. It's user-friendly for everyone. Once you've downloaded it, you can basically get access to information from grade R to grade 12. And as a person who wants to see how their child is doing, it's so easy because we can do the learning at any time at our own pace. So once Floki is registered and we download whatever workbook we've got, we can do it at our own pace. And if we need to, we can keep going back to it until we feel like he's competent, And I also don't need to pay anything for it.
What I hope for Silky's future is that he can have access to everything because with the way technology works nowadays, anyone can become anything. And hopefully with such platforms, he can grow to become whatever he wants to become.
Thank you, Chef Tumi. And with education being one of Vodacom's key focuses, using technology to bridge the divide and shape a better future for all is the ultimate goal. Visit vodacom.co.za/eSchool to register your kid and open up a world of opportunities.
When your family connects, we go further together. Vodacom.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, everybody. It is World Bee Day here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show, but Uncle Tabiso and Ian van Mermty are standing by in Gqeberha, where they have an amazing performance coming live for you. So get ready, get excited, because we're crossing live right now. Oh yeah, we're dancing into it.
Yeah. Well, today is a really special one, family. Good morning. Uncle Tabsy here, reporting live for duty, still coming at you from Gqeberha, formerly Port Elizabeth. It's so fantastic this morning because we're waking up with entertainment royalty. Oh yes, take a seat, relax, put your feet up. You're about to be entertained all throughout the morning as we connect with the Van Mermties, absolute legend and icon in our presence this morning.
Yeah,
Ian,
that's what you say to old people.
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't. Ian, Oscar, it's so good to be with you guys this morning.
Oh, thank you. Welcome. Glad you could get up.
Well, thank you, yes. I mean, I had to. I couldn't sleep. I was up at 3 o'clock this morning.
Oh, that's
because, I was absolutely nervous about, obviously, hanging out with you guys and how this experience would unfold. But it's been a pretty warm welcome so far. Ian, you need no introduction. Anyone who watched TV in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and went to any theatre show will recognize Ian from the many, many shows that he's been on. I mean, Grease, Big Band Blast, All New Van Mermty, Circle of Life, A Handful of Keys, The Rocky Horror Show. I could go on. And honestly, I could go on until the end of the show. But you are, and that's why you are such a legend and such an icon, right? How do you still manage to keep the smile and clearly the passion for making us all smile going all these years later?
When you go into this job, because it's a calling. It's something that you want to do. Yeah. And any vocation, if you keep reinventing, it keeps you fresh. And I think so long as you keep reinventing, and in these times we need to keep reinventing, then you keep your passion going.
Well, something you've been able to do, and I suppose probably also does help center your passion, is that you do a lot of your work with your family. I mean, this is a total family business. Oscar, yes. You've worked with your dad for so many years. Yeah. Do you ever get tired of it?
No.
Please, man, come on, you can be honest.
No, I think that's the best thing about our job is that we always have to be creative and inventive, and it's fantastic that we get to do that as not just as colleagues, but as an actual family.
And also, we're not a family who fight.
No.
There are always 3 ways to solve a problem.
And what are those?
In other words, in a situation, here's his way, there's my way, and there's normally our way.
Yeah.
Oh, stunning.
I wish I was like that in life.
You guys have worked together for so many years. Oscar, what are some of your, I suppose, most highlight memories of working with your dad in entertainment or sharing the stage with him?
Yeah, I think what's incredible, not just with my dad, is I get to experience performing with my mom, my sister, my dad, and doing that as a collective, I think it's an incredible experience. For a lot of kids, they don't get to see that work side life of their parents' life. It's completely separate. Yeah. And the fact that, both Kaz and I have got to experience that with, as a family, I think it's just incredible. I think, so in terms of a highlight, I think just the whole experience is
But also,
amazing.
I think what is great is when you went into the industry,
yes,
you had this really solid base.
Yes.
So, you went into TV and all those different things you were doing, like what?
You've got God.
I remember that. I used to watch that all the time. Ian, you've got to tell us the story of how it all sort of came together. How did you plan to have your entire family in
the one thing
the business with you?
Viv and I never ever wanted the kids to do a show business, but we didn't have this space in the old days. We used to rehearse in the lounge down in the house. And the kids came to us when they were small and said, it's not fair, you and Mum get to work together. We also want a chance. So I said, okay, well, first of all, see if you're any good. We'll give you something small to see whether you like it, and B, if the audience likes it. Yeah. So, of course, annoyingly, the audience liked them best. And
naturally.
Yeah, naturally. And then we had a really good time doing it, and it just worked fabulously.
I love this. I love this. Well, we're connecting with the Bond Mimities all throughout the morning here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Please do connect with us on our Facebook, Expresso Morning Show SABC3. Remember that hashtag Expresso Show. We'll still chat to them about how they've been able to navigate lockdown and COVID-19, some of their plans. You need to be on the lookout for. Yeah, I mean, that's telling, right? But stick around. You don't want to miss any of it. We'll be with you in a moment.
Oh, what a living legend. I remember just growing up watching Ian for Moments, and now we actually get to see how he wakes up in Gqeberha live crossing. Thank you so much, Uncle Tabito, for bringing us that. But right now, it's time to find out what's happening in those news headlines. Here is Zoe Brown.
Thank you, Jamie. Starting with national headlines, the Council of Education Ministers has suspended all contact sports at schools with immediate effect. The decision was taken yesterday due to the increase in coronavirus cases nationwide. However, non-contact sports may continue provided there is no physical contact between participants during the exercise. Basic Education Department spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga earlier said the idea was to ensure schools don't contribute to infections. He added that the decision was prompted by an increase in COVID-19 infections during school sports. And staying with local news, the South African Embassy in Palestine is engaged in efforts to assist South Africans who wish to return home amid escalating violence between Israel and Palestine. This comes as the Department of International Relations and Cooperation has launched a 24-hour hotline to assist South Africans with information about their relatives in Gaza. Former SA Ambassador to Palestine, Ashraf Suleiman, says the situation is alarming for South Africans in Gaza. He said every effort was made to repatriate South Africans. And meanwhile, US President Joe Biden yesterday told Israel's MP Benjamin Netanyahu he expects, and I quote, a significant de-escalation in the Gaza conflict. The White House said Biden wanted to pass a ceasefire in response. Netanyahu said he was determined to carry on until calm and security are restored to Israeli citizens. The conflict is in its 11th day with a continuing exchange of rocket fire from Palestinian militants into Israel and Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. Yesterday, 4 rockets were also fired from Lebanon into Israel. And African and European leaders have agreed to push wealthier nations to reallocate $100 billion in International Monetary Fund reserves to African states. After the summit held in Paris yesterday, it was said that a substantial financial package was needed so African countries are not left behind in an economic recovery from the global health crisis. France's President Emmanuel Macron confirmed that France and several other European countries were aboard. And now for some exciting news from the world of entertainment. The eagerly awaited Summer 27 nominees were announced on SABC1 last night. Kabza De Small, the diminutive Amapiano superstar, bagged the most nominations. His album, I Am the King of Amapiano, Sweet and Dust, proved to be prophetic as he walked away with nods in Album of the Year, Male Artist of the Year, and Best Amapiano Album. Once upon a time in lockdown, his collaboration with DJ Maphorisa, that's also known as Scorpion Kings, also secured nods in the Duo Group of the Year, Album of the Year, as well as Best Amapiano Album, bringing his tally to 6 nominations. The music video of the year and record of the year nominees will be announced tomorrow on Live Amp on SABC1 Mzansi for sure at 7:30. The summers are organized by the Recording Industry of SA, that's RISA, and in congratulating the nominees, the CEO of RISA, that's Nhlanhla Sibisi, said the year 2020 and 2021 was a very difficult period in which the industry had to deal with a crippling global pandemic. He also extended a special note of thanks to sponsors and partners for their support, so be sure to check SABC1's social media and website for a full list of the nominees. And on that note, let's quickly take another look at your sport.
I am a fighter.
Fearless has up to 5,500 Rand handbag cover with First for Women insurance.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Now to take a look at our sport, and we're starting off with our local Premier League and the goals by Michael Gumede, Pule Modi and Tako Makubela guided Golden Arrows to a 3-0 victory over TS Galaxy at the Sugar Ray Ngulu Stadium yesterday. Now this has been our Bafa Best 10 days biggest win in the league since defeating AmaZulu 4-1 in 2017. Now other PSL results from yesterday has seen Cape Town City FC and Maritzburg United playing out to a goalless draw at the Cape Town Stadium. Now the Citizens remain in 7th place with Maritzburg moving up to the 12th spot following their draw. Now sticking to soccer and moving all the way to Europe, Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool secured a 3-0 win over Burnley to move up to 4th place in the English Premier League standings with 1 league match remaining. Now Tottenham Hotspur on the other hand, however, suffered a 2-1 loss to Aston Villa, denting their European hopes as they sit in 7th place. Now in other results, Arsenal registered a 3-1 away win to Crystal Palace, and at the Hawthorns, West Ham United saw off West Brom 3-1. Now all the 20 Premier League teams will be in action on Sunday as the season concludes to find out who the finale and the winner of that league definitely is. And last but not least, moving over to our Olympics, International Olympic Committee Chief Thomas Bach yesterday announced that at least 3/4 of athletes and team members staying in Tokyo's Olympic Village will be vaccinated by the Games. Now, in a meeting with Olympic officials, Bach confirmed that as many as 75% of residents of the Olympic Village are already vaccinated or have secured vaccination in time before the Games. Now, in light of recent polls, many of Japan's citizens want the event postponed or cancelled as the country battles a new wave of coronavirus infections. Now, that's a roundup of our sport right now. Let's see what's happening in the latest with the weather with Jamie Lee Domberg.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raldo Monet. Well, we start your 7 a.m. weather update with some stunning sunrises, of course. We start with Rachel Steenkamp all the way from Elgin Grabo, who shared this beautiful fresh morning from her area. Grabo, today you can expect a cool day ahead with a maximum of 14 degrees Celsius. Another one coming through from Vincent Lutuli, who shared this cloudy morning view with us. We hope you are keeping warm wherever you are today. If you would like to share your sunrise photo with us, it really is so simple. All you have to do is head on over to the Expresso Facebook page to share your photo and location with us. And who knows, you might get a young feature here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Now, we can't forget our growing international audience who tune in daily via YouTube and the Africa channel. Now, continuing with our French culture exploration this morning, we are heading to the south of France to Nice, now located in the French Riviera on the southeast coast of France on the Mediterranean Sea at the foot of the Alps. Nice is the second largest French city on the Mediterranean coast. Now, Nice experiences hot summers and due to its latitude is one of the warmest Mediterranean climates. If you are in Nice today, you can expect partly sunny conditions reaching a maximum of 20 degrees Celsius. Now, of late, we have been reporting regularly on expeditions to Mars, and the latest news is that China has released the first pictures taken by its Zhurong rover on the red planet. The forward view shows the landscape ahead of the robot as it sits on its landing platform. The rear-looking image reveals Zhurong's solar panels. Now, the rover touched down on the red planet early on Sunday, Beijing time, and in achieving this, China has become only the second nation after America to successfully put a probe on the surface of Mars and operate it for a significant length of time. Now, Chinese scientists hope to get at least 90 Martian days of service out of the 6-wheeled robot at its location on Utopia Planitia, which is a vast terrain in the planet's northern hemisphere. China's National Space Administration has posted the pictures on its website, so do check that out. Right now, it's time to have a second look at the temperatures for today. For you, Polokwane, it is a low of 9, peaking at 24. Umbumbela ranges from 15 to 30 today. Pretoria coming through with a low of 10 and a high of 23. Johannesburg ranges from 9 to 21. Mahikeng 7:26. For you, Klerksdorp, it is a low of 7 and a high of 25. Kimberley ranges from 5 to 25 with strong winds coming through. Bloemfontein partly cloudy conditions for you with a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 24. Richards Bay, your low is 20 with a high of 30. Pietermaritzburg coming through with a low of 9, peaking at 29 today. South Africa's playground Durban ranges from 18 to 30. Mthatha at 9.29. East London also ranges from 14 to 29. And then Cradock coming through with a low of 6 and a high of 25. If you're out and about in Gqeberha, expect a low of 12 and a high of 23. George coming through with a 30% chance of rain with a low of 10 and a high of 20. For you, Cape Town, the mother city, do expect a 100% chance of rain today, so you do want to stay indoors, but your low is 14 with a high of 17. Worcester, 80% chance of rain for you with a low of 7 and a high of 14. Sutherland ranges from 6 to 12, and then last but definitely not least, Uppington, your low is 7 today with a high of 24. That is where I leave your weather update, but remember to keep it locked right here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Now we had a beautiful chance to chat to the man himself, as well as a little bit of your time with his family too, yeah?
That's right. Ian Van Memety is going to be on your screens right now, bringing us some much-needed music, especially on this Thursday morning.
Well, if you're only joining us now, you're just in time for your daily dose of Feel Good here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It is Expresso live on S3, and this morning we're coming to you live from Gqeberha, Gqebzi baby, and we're in the company of entertainment royalty. Ian Van Memety, of course, is an absolute icon. He's done many, many shows, and we're so lucky to be able to wake up with him and his family. Caspia, his daughter, is also on standby to give us a dose of Feel Good with a performance of Carole King's Beautiful. And listen to this. The opening sentence to this song is, you've got to wake up every morning with a smile on your face, which is obviously something we strive to do here on the show every morning. So guys, the stage is yours. Take it away.
You got to wake up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world the love in your heart. The people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. Waiting at the station with a workday wind blowing. I got nothing to do but watch the passers-by. Mirrored in their faces, I see frustration growing, and they don't seem to show it. Why do I? You got to wake up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world the love in your heart. The people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. I have often asked myself the reason for the sadness in the world, where tears are just a lullaby. If there's any answer, maybe love can end the madness, maybe not, oh, but we can only try. You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world the love in your heart. The people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful as you
Oh yes, setting the tone for your Thursday morning. That was beautiful. Come on, Ian and Caspia. Van Memety is here. I mean, you guys really are setting the vibe for this. Is this how you wake up every morning as a family? Just like,
I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about you wearing that first thing in the morning.
that's the thing, is how can you not when this is the tone you're sort of, jumping into?
It's a little fluffy.
It is a little bit fluffy. It is a bit expressive. I love it. Listen, what did you think of that performance? Expresso Morning Show, SABC3, hashtag Expresso Show on Facebook. I mean, we've missed seeing you guys on stage doing this. And lockdown obviously stole that from us.
Yeah, so basically, I had a full year. I had 33 shows on cruise ships, and I had 4 directing jobs, and we basically haven't worked for 15 months. And so that means that our entire life has been upset. We are having to sell the house, having to sell the house. You have to create a whole new life for yourself. And I'm not feeling sorry for myself. You know, I'm lucky. I've got a place to sell so that you can have a future. And I'm not alone. You know, you think of all those production companies, all those technical suppliers, 80% of them are bankrupt. Dancers sleeping in their cars because they can no longer afford rent. It's been a terrible turnaround. Hilton Festival, one of the biggest festivals in the country, they are now doing crowdfunding so that they can try and get something up and running again.
Well, the message is loud and clear. We've all got to go out there when we see shows being advertised, being promoted. Buy tickets, support the arts. That's the one way to really keep this industry alive and open and going. And yes, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, they've been felt by so many people in all sorts of industries. But this, in essence, is how that's impacted the entertainment industry. We'll see you in a bit.
Oh, Tabsi is enjoying Kabeja.
Yeah, and I can see why I got that what were you calling it earlier?
A feather
boa. Clearly getting us into the theme when it comes to performances. I'm definitely going to try book a ticket for the first opportunity I do get. And why not book a ticket for the following?
Yeah.
What's happening next?
Sorry, just threw it to me. Well, I said it is still World Bee Day on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. So lots of recipes coming your way, but also Eitan Stern is here to talk about all about production when it comes to farming. So you want to stick around for that. We'll see you just after this.
It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Such official music. Eitan Stern could be Thor. It's like Avengers
It's just missing a hammer, actually. Wow.
I'll bring a hammer next time.
Okay, well,
I've never been allowed to let my hair down on the show, but one day.
Just picturing you like the law is the law.
There we go. And you know what? You are just in time. Welcome to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. We are now turning our focus to the importance of bees in our ecosystem today and the vital role they play in the pollination production of the world's food, we are also having a look at the sector of the food production industry that relies on animals, as we don't usually spare thought on how it all works.
Yeah, so true, Zoe. So we're calling upon the legal guidance of our friend and expert in law, the director at legalese.co.za, Thor. He's here to answer our questions on how does the food I eat legally end up on my plate. Ethan Stern in the building, man. Good morning to you, brother.
Good to be here.
Oh, well, listen, let's unpack this. Has the law changed around the decline in the bee population? Has that had an impact on legislation at the moment?
Yeah, so totally. So as we've all come to understand, natural resources are limited and people can't just do what they want anymore. These things need to be managed, and that's food, that's fish, that's mining, that's definitely bees and animals. These things need to be managed. So all over the world, and South Africa included, you've now got regulations to ensure that people protect the natural environment. So in South Africa, for bees, you've got the Conservation Protection Act, which defines what we're allowed to do with our land. So you don't just destroy all the biodiversity, which means the bees would die. You've also got the Agricultural Pests Act, which shows what you're supposed to do when bee farming to ensure disease doesn't spread. So we've had to adapt to ensure that we don't kill the bees, because if you kill the bees, you don't just kill honey, but you kill all food, because they germinate food, so you essentially kill all of us. So the laws have had to adapt, and hopefully they will continue to adapt further.
Yeah, now you mentioned these laws, which I absolutely love. Now, on top of that, we also have a regulatory body that kind of is involved when it comes to bees in our country. So that's the South African Bee Industry Organization, I believe, right? So if you mentioned I have land and you're looking at conservation, I make the decision to, in my personal capacity, maybe start a beehive, or vice versa, maybe the other end of the scale, a huge organization, I want to start a company.
Yeah.
Which of those scenarios requires me to register that beehive or the production of it? And is there a certain sort of prerequisite?
Sure. So they're not a regulator, but they're an industry body. And you find these industry bodies in lots of different industries in order to kind of try and manage the interests in that industry. So membership is not an obligation, but whether you're a member or not, you still have to obey the rules. And they're there to ensure that everyone's got a voice in the industry, to liaise between the beekeepers and the government. They're there to spread information and do a whole lot of other sorts of things in order to kind of manage that industry. So these regulatory bodies, they do important work because they help the industry as a whole to function. They don't necessarily make the laws, but they might propose different laws or new laws. So certainly if you're into beekeeping, it's probably worth finding out about them, possibly get registered, and certainly if you're going to be on a big scale, get registered. But if you have just one hive at home, follow what the rules are, but there's no obligation to be registered.
Okay.
Very interesting. Now, I know a lot of people are also, we want to look after our planet. We want to look after our limited resources, our natural resources. Now, has certain practices been put in place when it comes to sustainably and responsibly sourced? So, for example, in the fishing industry, what kind of practices are in place? Like if they have a permit, are they only allowed to fish a certain amount or in a certain area? How are the bodies controlling it?
Okay, cool. So, yeah, so look, we have on Earth today like a crisis when it comes to the oceans. So, the only way to really ensure that we're not destroying the oceans is to stop eating fish altogether. But what government has done is they've tried to put laws in place in order to manage the oceans. So certainly large-scale fisheries and fishing companies, they have permits around the amount of fish they can catch and where they can catch, and small-scale fishermen also require licensing, and there are limits on what they can catch. So certainly no one is allowed to take anything from the ocean unless you are licensed. And the government does try its best to manage it, but the problem is at a catastrophic scale. So really the only way to ensure that you're protecting the ocean is to not eat anything from it. But if you are going to eat something from the ocean, the WWF has a program called SASSI, where they have listed the different types of fish into a green, red, and orange list. And so green would be a sustainable a fish from a sustainable, fishing colony, and red would be don't eat it at all. So it's really important, if you are going to eat fish, to ensure that you go and make sure that you're only eating sustainably caught fish. But in general, if you want to protect the oceans and ensure that we don't die in a couple of years, then don't eat fish and don't eat single-use plastic, which is just polluting the oceans.
Yeah, man. Great advice, always coming through from Ethan himself. But we will be chatting to you a little bit later, man. Thank you so much for your time. We're talking about the legalities around food, what it means and how it gets to our plate. And I think with that information, there's only one more thing to do. Let's eat.
Yes, we are back in the kitchen, and there's nothing that gets the taste buds more tantalized than the smell of a freshly baked apple pie. Now, to bite into some crispy phyllo layers stacked with, get this, caramel chocolate drops, soft cinnamon apple, and caramel honey will whisk your way to foodie paradise. And who better than our resident foodie, Mr. Chef Clement Pedro, to show us how. Chef, you are going very southern this week. Yesterday you had some fried chicken, today some apple pie.
I know.
What's happening?
I don't know. I think it's amazing. I think it's really, really, it's comfort food, right?
It is.
And it's the season for, well, it's the weather. It's the time for comfort food. So this is a good one. It's a good one.
The weather report, 100% chance of rain today in the mother city. So we bring on all the comfort food that you can give us.
So apple pie, really, really good one. We're going to use phyllo pastry, but being World Bee Day, we're going to add in some honey, and this is really special honey. This honey, okay, as we know with woods, always badger friendly, because sustainability is always the first thing, and it's local, so the beekeepers actually put their hives in our local field, so they're actually getting the pollen from all our local plants. And apples, I'm pretty sure they've been like on apple blossoms, I'm pretty sure, so that affects, all those things affect the flavor of your honey. So, first thing first, we got some Granny Smith apples, and I'm using Granny Smith because they're nice and crisp, because it's slight tartness. We're going to counteract that with the honey and with caramel drops. Okay, it's gonna be delicious.
It sounds amazing already.
It's so good. So I've taken the skins off and I put a little bit of lemon water in there just to stop it from browning. Now strain the water off. Now what I need you to do is add some brown sugar, ginger powder, and corn flour. So now I'm gonna work on the phyllo pastry. People are kind of like scared of phyllo pastry because I think it's so fragile. It's only fragile when it starts drying out. So there's two ways to keep it moist. Number one.
And you're going to teach us your ways.
Yeah, a damp cloth. If you've got a nice clean damp cloth, put that every time you're working with your phyllo pastry. When you take a sheet out, cover the rest of it with a damp cloth. The second way to keep it nice and moist and delicious is my favorite way, butter. So all you're going to do, and the thing is, if it tears like this, it's perfectly fine because we're going to be folding everything over. So actually, let's go with a double layer at the bottom. We're going to add so much flavor to this pie. In normal pies, you have to make pastry. Phyllo's like just
do you judge people who don't make their pastry?
Excuse me, who?
Do you judge people who don't make their pastry?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. So literally, when you watch those like home cooking shows or those game shows when they have guests over and someone goes, "Did you make your phyllo pastry?" Did you make your phyllo pastry? No one makes their phyllo pastry. No. Okay.
Well, if Chef Clem says you don't need to make your phyllo pastry, you don't need to make your phyllo pastry.
You do not. You do not. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of cut it into a more manageable size to fit my pie dish. So one layer goes down, and when the layer goes down, oh, let me just cover this so it doesn't dry out. When the layer goes down, I'm going to add some butter.
I can just think of that butter and all that goodness going in there. Do you have any bee puns for us this morning? Because you and Zoe are like the queen of puns.
We are?
Zoe actually failed this morning with the Good Morning Post. Maybe she's going to redeem herself later in the show. So
you see.
You have a chance here. What is your best bee pun?
No. I don't have one.
Come on.
No.
Off the top of your head?
I'm doing my job.
Sorry. But your job is also to get...
I don't know, actually.
You don't have, okay.
No, not now. I'm going to work on it.
Work on it. We'll work on it. What are you doing there?
Cinnamon sugar. Okay, cinnamon sugar, you know, and I've called my mom out. She's got this one jar that's just like dedicated for cinnamon sugar, and it's like it never empties. It just keeps on getting full. You can now buy cinnamon sugar at Woolies. Done.
And it's in...
Done. Absolutely. Caramel drops. Okay, little tip with this one. I melt these and I pop popcorn, salted popcorn, and then I toss the salted popcorn through the melted caramel chips, little dots, little drops. It's so good. That sweet and the salty just is amazing. Okay, so next layer down. Okay, I became my uncle yesterday. So I'm feeling very generous.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. My sister turned 30 yesterday. Last week, sorry. And then yesterday has a little Bubba, a little baby Grace. So I'm feeling a little girl. So I'm feeling very generous. It was very sweet.
So
I'm just
go in there.
Going with all the caramel drops. Okay. So another layer goes down. Thank you for the apples. That looks really good. Did you mix it like really well?
I did.
Okay, cool. So next, another brush and another layer because I said I'm feeling very generous today.
Here we go. I'm going to pass this to you. Taste.co.za is where you can find your hand on this recipe. We're going to throw the apples in right now.
So what's going to happen is the reason we put the corn flour on is when the apples start releasing their juice, it's going to actually thicken. So you can get that beautiful apple-like sauce. It's going to be delicious. You can also use the canned pineapples. That's really great.
I like the fact that we're using, fresh apples as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's apple season. Apple and pears. I mean, this will work well with pears as well. And one more. That's perfect. I'll do that. Then the sheet, I'm going to be kind of rustic with it. So kind of like just fold it in there.
Aesthetic.
You want to be kind of rustic with it because as these little bits that are on the top, as they're cooking, they go extra crispy. Okay, cool. So this goes to the oven. Make sure you get every little bit of the phyllo covered in the butter. I can pass that to you.
Yeah, and it's going to go into the oven.
I've got one in the oven.
I'll put this one in here in the meantime.
And then...
And for how long does it stay in the oven? Oh, look at that golden goodness.
It goes in for about 20 to 25 minutes. What you're looking for is the pie is going to start sinking a bit because that's the apples that are kind of cooked down a bit. Here's the honey element. I've taken this beautiful, beautiful honey, and I mean, it's so fancy. Comes with the honey spoon already. What I've done is I put it in a pot on a very, very, very low heat. And what you're going to do is I'm going to turn the heat back on. You're going to kind of, not burn it, but kind of burn it. Let it slowly cook until it starts getting very, very, very dark. It's going to set up on you. So if it does, all you have to do is just put it back on the heat again. And what it does, it intensifies that honey flavor.
And won't it, so I was just going to ask now, is it not going to have that burning taste?
Not really, no.
That colour as well, that looks gorgeous.
The colour is amazing. It's beautiful, like amber honey colour. It is so good. You need this, and you need like some beautiful fresh cream, and you just find yourself a little spot, and you watch the rain come down, and you eat this. Pure, pure bee happiness.
There we go.
No, man.
I feel like you could have done better.
I could have done better. You could have done better. Okay, but could I have done better than this? This is like really, really delicious. Winter, we are ready.
Comfort food at its best. Taste.co.za is where you can find that. That is our apple pie coming to you live from Chef Clem. He is...
Uncle, Chef, husband, Claire, you're my title. Can someone adjust my title at the bottom of the screen?
To Uncle.
No, do not just make it Uncle.
You can. Uncle Chef, you better behave now. Come on, come
Drops, honey. Done. I like that one.
That's it. That's all we have for you guys. That's all.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
You tuned into your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso, and we are continuing our discussion with lawyer and director at legalese.co.za, that's Eitan Stern, as he breaks down the legal ins and outs of how food is produced here in South Africa.
Yeah, man.
I hope it's still a feel-good breakfast show after this.
Oh, listen, this is a very important discussion to have because
Yes,
I don't
for
think
sure.
a lot of people think the food just comes off the shelf at the store.
100%.
Now, we have all these industries that we're talking about, and when we touched on like the beekeeping side of things and honey, there's so many different factions of this. One I wanted to chat about is the milk and dairy production, which is a big industry on its own, of course.
Totally.
What is the legislature behind that when it comes to any regulations? I mean, if I take the example of our country where we have small farming all the way up to the big scale, we have peeps with 2 cows in the yard and they may be milking the cow. Do they need to have some sort of a permit or regulation or something in that instant?
Okay, so cow milk needs to be regulated. What we all need to remember is when we're drinking milk, it came from a live animal. And essentially, milk drinking is so widespread that the production on milk is massive. So you definitely require laws, and we definitely have laws around keeping the industry safe. If you are producing milk in order to sell it, you do need to be registered as a dairy producer. But if you have a personal cow or cows and you're not selling it and using it for yourself or your family, then you don't need to be registered. But in any event, you know, the laws and the regulations that are there to ensure that the produce, that the milk doesn't kill us, and it keeps us healthy. It's not there to ensure that the animals lived in any sort of humane conditions. So, you know, we just as dairy consumers just have to remember that, you know, often what it looks like on the packaging is not necessarily the conditions that the milk came from.
So it's actually quite interesting that, you know, the regulations and the rules in place is to protect us, but not necessarily that of the animals.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to, you know, the poultry industry, our chickens and our eggs, I know that there's also a lot of them are, like you mentioned off air, that a lot of them are bred in like tiny, tiny little ones. And of course, the goal and the one that people always love is free-range eggs.
Yes.
So how's legislation protecting that industry?
Okay, cool. So again, it protects us in the industry to make sure that we have good produce. It doesn't protect the animals in any way. And you can pretty much assume that if you're eating chicken or eggs in this country, that unless you are sourcing it directly from a farm or very close to home, that you can assume that the animals lived in some sort of inhumane conditions. They're raised in battery cages that are towered in massive factories of battery cages that are towered on top of each other. What does free range mean? Well, free range means, unfortunately, very little. There isn't actually a legislated definition, as far as I know, of free range. So every farmer that produces free range is giving their own interpretation for what free range means, and it generally means some aspect of access to the outside world, but it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, what it looks like on the box of chickens roaming around a field. So, you know, it's really important if you are eating eggs, try source it as close as you can to home, farm a farm if possible, get your own chicken if you possibly can, but definitely, like, it's worth, you know, understanding where the food comes from.
Yeah, and I think it's also just a unique opportunity as well to support small business, especially in this time that we're living in right now. I think a lot of people have maybe taken new opportunities. So again, if you do have that connection, you can definitely support them too.
100%.
And speaking of this, another industry which is huge in South Africa is the meat industry, which I believe is something in excess of like a 44 billion rand industry per year in South Africa alone. What does it mean, or when it comes to actually purchasing meat, how do we know that there's this level of anti-cruelty that has been ensured in procuring and getting this meat to the point where it's on my plate?
Sure. So, I mean, in short, you basically can't. Pretty much any meat that you're going to be eating from like a commercial sense, unless you're sourcing directly from a farm, is going to be killed. And I mean, we can talk about what ethical means, but the animal's going to have lived a horrible life and died in a horrible way. But the regulations around meat are there again to make sure that we stay safe, so the produce will be safe, and it's unbelievably complex. The size of the meat industry, it's very complex to make sure that the meat stays is safe when it gets to us. So the laws are there, and the farmers stick to the laws in order to make sure we're safe. But generally, that's not going to mean anything for the actual condition of the animals. So the only way for us to ensure that we eat meat in an ethical way would be source it as close as you can to the source, cut down on meat. There's some unbelievable alternatives out there. Vegetarianism is not going to kill you. You don't need to go vegetarian, but you can, you know, cut down the amount of meat that you eat. So the laws are there to make sure we stay safe, but we need to really discover, you know, what it means to eat meat ethically. That's a different question.
And also just question, where is our produce coming from? I think think a lot of us don't do that. I'm a lazy shopper. I go to the store and I get my eggs there. So definitely thank you for shedding the light on that.
Sure.
Adrian Stern, aka Thor. There we go. Of course, we were just unpacking the legalities around fruit production in South Africa. It is also World Bee Day, and we're going to continue that conversation throughout the show.
And do you know what brings families together? Two things. First thing is the sound of someone opening Oma Russ in the kitchen, and then some serious conversations around the table. And this morning, I've got both my Russ and my Expresso family, of course, Zoe and Ryle, and it's time to get serious with another round of Would You Rather. So I think I'm going to get those two in, Zoe and Ryle. I'm going to get you guys in on this conversation.
Can I come in?
Come on in, Mama. Yeah, so it's a very serious conversation we're going to have now. So sit down.
We've been having very serious
coffee.
Oh, I'm ready for
Got you guys some Oma Russ, and here's the question, okay? Today's question is all about family, and we want to see what the popular word on the street is. Here is our very, very serious question. Why are you smiling, Zoe? You can't even smile. No, joking. Okay, so would you rather, A, travel back in time and meet your ancient ancestors, okay? Or B, would you travel into the future and meet your great-great-great-grandchildren?
Oh.
I'm going to start with you first, Zoe. Would you go A, ancient, B, forward, great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great?
I'll definitely choose B because I'm not sure if I'm going to have children. I'm joking. No, I'm joking. That was very serious. No, I'm joking. I'll choose B.
You'll choose B, so you'd love to meet your great-great-grandchildren. What do you think the first thing is you'll ask them?
I think I just want to know, I think I'm more curious to see how life changed for them compared to what I know now. And I want to see how many of the traditions I instilled in my future children were passed down to them, and has my legacy lived on? I want to see if that happens.
What if your great-great-great-grandchildren was actually a presenter on Expresso 2095? Would you be excited?
I could still be alive then.
You never know. You never know.
I would be very proud of them, but I suppose at the end of the day, I strive to, live my truth, and I want however many children I have one day and however many children they have one day I think the goal is to always just be your authentic self and find your truth and share that with the world. So then I would be proud of them for ending up on TV too.
So you're backing up B? Okay, Mr. De Mornay, the question's for you now. A?
Yeah, I think after listening to Zoe, I wouldn't go with A, just because I feel like there's always been a lot of struggle to get to this point in time. And with that being said, we have our own struggle right now that we're living in. For me, I would love to see how my struggle affects my future. I would love to see that we are doing something so impactful that we create a positive future where our kids can still play in the ocean, that they can still see wildlife, that they can still go in the mountain and be enriched the way I've been enriched in my life. So B all the way, just to see if this magic can continue and the legacy can go on beyond these meager years.
Can you imagine another nature boy? We can actually.
Nature boys and girls. Nature boys and girls all live in the mountain.
Little nature family.
Well, listen, let's see what the popular opinion on social media is right now. So we did ask this question on our social media. We have Estelle Maret saying A, we'd love to know about our family past because in Port Elizabeth, a part of my family's history is in the museum.
Oh, wow.
That's very interesting to check that out. Vincent saying B, Dice Ezekiel saying B as well. Daphne, one of our top fans as well, also says I'd prefer B. And then we have Kelly Cotton saying B, where you're going is way more important than where you've been.
Oh, you're getting nice and deep
future,
and philosophical.
think forward.
I like that.
I want to say Crystal as well. She said, I'd prefer A because seriously, I'm a mixed breed that needs to know all of the roots. And I think for a lot of people, they want to know where they actually come from, and that helps them pave the way for where they are going.
Well, how are you supposed to know where you're going if you don't know where you come from? And it's a question we're always asking ourselves.
Well, the one thing I also like about the idea of going into the future is when you are time traveling here hypothetically, so when you do, come back to the present, you realize the changes you can make to change the future for the better.
But sometimes people also need closure from their past, so they need to, find answers of where they do come from in order for them to move on to the future. I think it's everyone saying that as well. We have Basil Fenning saying A, because I want to know what made them migrate, change fates, and what was their vision.
Sure, interesting.
Basil just got something in my our mind now. Imagine being able to go back to the source, back to where it all began. Oh, that's
where the demonies all began.
Yeah, no, that's actually, A is starting to become a little bit enticing now, I'm not going to lie. Nice stuff, Basil.
Well, Lechlo Nolo says B. Letty says B. I would like to meet my great-grandkids. Dwight says A, definitely. So very interesting. I think it's like, is it pretty much 50-50?
50-50, 50-50. Well, no matter if you're living in the past or the future, we want to give you Russ to share with the whole family. And tomorrow we will be announcing our first winner to walk away with an Oma Russ hamper and a 1,000 Rand cash prize. So make sure not to miss it. It could be you, everybody.
Yes, it could. Yes, definitely could.
Anytime is dipping time when it's with the ones you love.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, you beautiful souls. Just live right here on S3, opening up on your Expresso show. And we're talking about all things insects, considering it's obviously Bee Day today, International Bee Day, and insects are a true inventor of all things when it comes to tech. And they've been using their technology for over 50 million years in perfect ecological balance. And by contrast, humans are amateurish technologists from an environmental perspective. Now, our technologies put the existence of our species and the entire biosphere at risk. By studying the peculiar social world of insects and their technology, we can learn how to live in greater biological harmony with the planet. And of course, Grant Hines is here. He's joining us to talk about a few technologies we have in actually adopting, and some that have come from bees, I believe.
Bees are some of the most incredible creatures on this planet. And if you are a kid at home and are thinking about studying entomology or just studying bees and insects, like your mind is about to be blown. And parents, please do this. They are so incredibly intelligent. So there's something called eusociality, which is eusociality.
Eusociality.
Okay.
And it's the ability of a species to work together. So ants, termites, bees, and humans are some of the few animals that exist in the wild that have this ability to work together. And if you read a lot of books, like Yuval's written a book called Sapiens, it's a very popular book. One of the things that like anthropologists say has credited to our success as a species is the ability to work together. So, what I mean by that is if we're in the street and something happens that a group of us have to react to, we can look to the group of people around us. We might be all strangers, but we live in a society where we all understand what to do. Like we need to intervene. You know, I've had great experiences. Like people have come to my rescue in certain situations where I didn't know them and they were strangers. Some guys got off a taxi and just helped me out, and it came from nowhere. Just like seeing the situation, determining it in a second or two, and coming to my aid. And that eusociality exists in these species. The next one is farming. Think about agriculture. Bees have been around for 50 million years and have been making honey together
Yeah, you're right.
for 50 million years. Right? So agriculture has existed we think we're so smart. We think that we like, we've tamed corn.
Meanwhile, we're just playing catch up here for 50
They're
million years
taking
worth.
pollen and turning it into like sugar nectar and surviving off of it, which is incredible. So like we're still playing catch up there. It is arguable though that farming has not been great for us as a human race in totality, but it has allowed us to have societies, structures that we have today. And bees are one of those that just exist. They have these little, if you look into a beehive, there's a society that's happening there.
That's incredible.
The beehive, if you look into it, is made of hexagons, right? Like those hexagonal shapes. That is the strongest structural format that you can get in anything. And we've actually stolen that technology from bees. Who basically invented it, because you can have there's no free space in between the gaps. You know, you want to make sure that everything is like there's no waste.
Efficiently aligned with each other. It's
efficient
like
use
the
of
ultimate
space.
Tetris game.
And also everything, you know, it's very sturdy and secure. So when you build anything out of carbon fiber, you'll see that there are hexagonal shapes in it.
Yeah, I've actually used the shape grant in a design for gym equipment. Its structural integrity is so strong that I reduced the material I used by 80% by just using that structure alone. So it has practical usage as well, literally in the gym world. I mean, you're right, so right. That's insane.
And even in 3D printing, if you see anything in 3D printing, take a close look. Every shape that you 3D print has got hexagonals in it, and you build it out of those hexagonals. So, and that comes from honeycomb. Honeycomb is the building blocks of this. And we have so much to learn about animals. I think one of the things that I'm learning a lot in 2021, and I think we all should, is that the animal kingdom is this great mystery. I think we've looked down on animals for so long that if we just humble ourselves and look at animals and learn, and just respect them, we've got so much to gain as a species. You know, like we'll be so much further in the years to come.
I can't argue with you. I mean, you just mentioned now 50 million years worth of farming.
If only we were smart enough to look at that back then.
Exactly, all that experience. It seems like we're playing catch up, but it seems like all the answers are there within nature. So my message to everybody out there, and especially to the youngsters that are pursuing and deciding what career they want, start looking at one that can impact the earth, impact our future and the environment, so that all of us can play and enjoy this beauty that we call Mother Nature.
So, we've had classic fashion from Timby, classic cars, thanks Chad, and we've seen classic hairstyles. And you, Michael? Classic!
A classic range from Clover. Timeless taste.
Made with love by Clover. Well, we are back in the kitchen to spread the love, and nothing rivals a classic homemade dessert, especially baklava. Now, the texture of crisp, flaky phyllo pastry, layered with a crunchy nut filling and then lathered in a sweet honey syrup is what dreams are made of. Ilham is back in the kitchen to help us make this delicious dessert. Yeah. This is always something that's like, it hits the spot after a yummy, yummy meal.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's super delicious, but I think daunting to a lot of people, just because, you know, it's like most people would buy this if they went to like a Greek restaurant or something. But I mean, yeah, I'm going to show you how to, we'll make it easy.
Okay, please show us how to make it easy.
So we're going to start with our phyllo pastry, and we're just going to brush each sheet with some melted Clover Classic spread.
There we go. And that's the amazing thing about our Clover Classics fat spread that we're using right now. You can use it for baking, you can use it for cooking, as well as for spreads on bread.
Yeah.
There we go.
And then we're going to lay it in our little dish over here. So we're just going to first put a little bit of melted spread at the bottom.
There we go.
And then we're going to start with our first layer. So butter side up. And then we just carry on. And then Zoe, maybe you can mix the filling for me. So that's going to be our nut filling.
So we've got some walnuts, we've got some almonds.
And we've got some pistachio nuts. Now, pistachio nuts are quite expensive. So maybe, you know, if you have another nut preference that you like, you can use that. And then we've just got some ground cloves and some ground cinnamon that are going to go into our mixture. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to add that for us.
So we've got about like 12, I would say about 12 sheets of phyllo here. So if every 3 layers, so I've done the 3rd layer, right? Every 3 layers, then you can just sprinkle some nuts over.
How much nuts is appropriate?
I think, yeah, maybe just like a tablespoon and a bit.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more, just so that it's nice and we've got the complete thing covered.
There we go. I see what you mean.
Yeah. And then you can carry on and just maybe continue with the layers for me. So just keep on brushing these.
Definitely, I'll do
And then I'm going to make the syrup. Now, I think the thing that makes baklava delicious is the syrup that goes on it. So we've got some water in our pot. We're going to add some stick cinnamon, some sugar, and then we're going to add a few pieces of zest from an orange.
Okay.
So we're just going to use a peeler to get some zest. And then we are going to just do a squeeze of lemon. Just a little bit of lemon juice in here. So it's really nice and fresh and fragrant.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go in with the honey.
There we go. Oh, look at that honey.
Yeah, and then this, just as it heats up and the sugar melts, we want this to come to sort of like a simmer. We don't really want to stir too much. And then this will kind of reduce and thicken and form this really beautiful syrup that you see here.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about this recipe that intimidates people?
I don't know, maybe it's, again, the phyllo pastry. I think, when people work with it, it can become dry, or I think it's just, it needs a lot of fat, like melted fat, to make it work. And maybe just the nuts or the layering. Like, I think it seems more complicated than it actually is.
It certainly does. I had no idea it's actually such a simplistic recipe. Well, we do have this recipe available for you. You can find it at expressoshow.com. All of the ingredients, all of the steps to how we are making this baklava, Ilham is showing us now, is all available. So when will we drizzle our syrup?
So I'm actually going to drizzle a little bit of syrup over this one that we've made.
Okay.
And a really good tip with baklava or anything that has syrup in it, something has to be hot. So one thing has to be hot and one thing has to be cold. So if you have a cold baklava, then your syrup must be hot. And so if you have, when that comes out of the oven, we'll put the cold syrup over the hot baklava. Okay. And then that way it will...
it balances out.
Yeah, and also it helps to soak up all the syrup.
Okay.
So we're just going to put a little bit more syrup.
Look at that!
Over this.
Okay, and the thing about baklava, it needs to have that crunchiness, so I feel like when you test that out... Oh!
Would you like to have a...
Of course. This is how I'm going to start my morning. There we go. I hope our photographer had taken a photo of this. I'm just going to take a little piece here at the top. I'm breaking it now. There we go, and you want that crunch. Come. There we go.
Ooh. I definitely heard that crunch.
That's a good crunch. That is how it needs to crunch on TV. There we go. This recipe is available for you. Expressoshow.com. And if you've missed any of the steps that Ilham just showed us, we do have a recap for you.
Made with love by Clover. It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, everybody. You're still opening up with S3 here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It is raining. You can hear it. It's absolutely stunning. But of course, it is World Bee Day. And we wanted to find out about you on our social media. What is your favorite bee-related pun? Okay, I'm very interested because I think we've all failed miserably this morning.
What do you mean? I thought we've been beautiful. Let's see what Mzansi has to say. Natasha Stewart coming up first saying, good morning, Expresso team. The only one who can protect the queen bee is her hubby.
Dun, 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 dun.
I love it. I love it.
We have Salashana Naidu saying, a bee that doesn't stop eating will eventually become a little chubby.
You guys are winning. You guys are owning it. You're definitely beating us on this one. Sandra Van Wyk says, be happy, be sweet, be yourself, be gorgeous, and be liquor with other people. I love that.
Be liquor with other people. And then we have, where are we? Oh, Gigi says, bee hotels are called Airbnb.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Wow.
Gigi takes the crown.
Gigi, you are coming
for
to
the cheese. Cindy Stratham says, some people think they the bee's knees. And then Sharon Harrison says, be real is morning. I'm assuming that says this morning.
Be real this morning.
And a beautiful picture of two little bees looking like they're getting close up and personal.
Yeah, actually you don't know this, but Expresso actually has our own beehive just outside of the studio. But we're going to get into that conversation a little bit later on. Right now, though, just a few minutes before 8 o'clock, here is Zoe with those news headlines.
Thank you, Jamie. And a quick look at your national headlines. The outgoing chief of the SA National Defence Force, General Solly Shoke, has warned of the dangers of budget cuts for the Defence Force. Shoke delivered his farewell address at the Youngfield and Simonstown military bases in Cape Town. Estimates put the budget cuts for the Defence Force at over 15 billion rand in the medium-term expenditure framework. Shoke says the country cannot grow its economy if there's no security. And staying with local news, the Council of Education Ministers has suspended all contact sports at schools with immediate effect. The decision was taken yesterday due to the increase in coronavirus cases nationwide. However, non-contact sports may continue provided there is no physical contact between participants during exercise. Basic Education Department spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga earlier said the idea was to ensure schools don't contribute to infections. He added that the decision was prompted by an increase in COVID-19 infections during school sports. And moving beyond our own borders, Malawi yesterday destroyed 20,000 of the batch of 102,000 vaccines which arrived on the 26th of March under an initiative by the AU and the WHO. The batch expired on the 13th of April, leaving less than 3 weeks for them to be used. But the World Health Organization assured Malawi that research have proved that they were perfectly safe to use until 13 July. Malawi managed to deploy about 80% of them by 13 April, but yesterday the health minister said they would not give expired vaccines to citizens and destroyed them. And US President Joe Biden yesterday told Israel's MP Benjamin Netanyahu he expects, and I quote, a significant de-escalation in the Gaza conflict. The White House said Biden wanted a path to a ceasefire. In response to Netanyahu said he was determined to continue until calm and security had been restored. The conflict is in its 11th day with a continuing exchange of rocket fire from Palestinian militants into Israel and Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. Yesterday, 4 rockets were also fired from Lebanon into Israel. And next, there's no reason to believe bees can't experience some emotion. So maybe bees don't give warm and fuzzy when watching a romantic comedy or sad when they spot a forlorn puppy, but scientists from London's Queen Mary University say they can indeed experience something akin to a rush of optimism. A cognitive neuroethologist of the university, Clint Perry, told Popular Science that there was no reason to believe bees couldn't experience some emotion. Perry and his colleagues colleagues devised an experiment to test the emotional state of bees by creating an environment that contained a blue bee-sized door with sweetened water and a green one with plain water, and recorded how long it took the bees to enter the door. The researchers then rewarded half of the bees with a treat of more sweetened water and offered a blue-green option, for example, a mystery door. Now, the bees that were given an extra shot of sugar dashed to the blue-green door, the others not so much. The sweet bees were quicker to optimistically fly through the strange new door to check if more sugar was waiting inside. Perry and his colleagues concluded that the sugar has given them a high, similar to humans enjoying a favorite snack. Incidentally, how do we really know that bees are happy? Well, they hum while they work. On that happy note, that's where I leave your morning headlines. Here's a final look at your sport.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Now for a final look at our sport this morning, and kicking it off with our local soccer. The goals by Michael Gumede, Pule Modi and Tako Makubela guided Golden Arrows to a 3-0 victory over TS Galaxy at the Sugar Ray Ngulu Stadium yesterday. Now, this has been our Bafa Best 10 days biggest win in the league since defeating AmaZulu 4-1 in 2017. Now, another PSL results from yesterday. Cape Town City Football Club and Maritzburg United played out to a goalless draw at the Cape Town Stadium. Now, the Citizens remain in 7th place, with Maritzburg moving up to 12th spot following the draw. And now, sticking to soccer and moving all the way to Europe, Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool secured a 3-1 win over Burnley to move up to 4th place in the English Premier League standings with 1 league match remaining. And Tottenham Hotspur, on the other hand, however, suffered a 2-1 loss to Aston Villa, denting their European hopes as they sit in 7th place. Now, in other results, Arsenal registered a 3-1 away win to Crystal Palace, and at the Hawthorns, West Ham United saw off West Brom 3-1. Now, all 20 Premier League teams will be in action on Sunday as the final season concludes this year. Now, moving over to the last of our sport recap, Olympics International Committee Chief Thomas Bach yesterday announced that at least 3/4 of athletes and team members staying in Tokyo's Olympic Village will be vaccinated by the Games. Now, in a meeting with Olympic officials, Bach confirmed that as many as 75% of residents of the Olympic Village are already vaccinated or have secured vaccination in time before the Games. Now, in light of a recent poll, many of Japan's citizens want the event postponed or cancelled as the country battles a new wave of coronavirus infections. Now, that's a final look at our weather, at our sport this morning. Let's find out finally what's happening in the weather with Jamie Lee Domberg.
It's a final look at the weather update, but we want to say thank you to all of you that took the time to share your sunrise photos with us this morning. We really do love seeing how you start your day. Now, we started off this morning with this picturesque image received from Andrew Harris in Belito, overlooking the ocean as the sun rises. Regular contributor Gary Alcomp, also from East London, shared this image of the sky showing off these spectacular hues of blue and orange as it transitions into the day. Rachel Steenkamp from Elgin Grabo also shared this beautiful fresh morning from her area. And then last but definitely not least, Vincent Lutuli also shared this cloudy morning view with us. We hope you are keeping warm and safe wherever you are. Now, if you would like to share your sunrise photo with us, it really is simple. Head on over to the Expresso Facebook page to share your photo and location with us, and who knows, you might get a young feature on your Feel Good Breakfast show. And while we do enjoy experiencing a sunrise from your part of South Africa, we do have some international viewers tuning in on both YouTube and the Africa channel in the USA. And this morning we are reporting on the weather from Chicago, Illinois. Now, it is the most populous city in the state of Illinois and the 3rd most populous city in the United States. The city of Chicago experiences 4 distinct seasons, with summers being hot and humid and winters being relatively cold and snowy. If you are in Chicago today, you can expect a warm and breezy day, reaching a maximum of 27 degrees Celsius. In other news as well, another major windstorm made landfall in the Western Cape last night and will continue throughout today. The South African Weather Service expects significant rainfall between 30 and 40 millimeters over the Cape Town metropole, Theewaterskloof, and the western part of the Cape Winelands. Now, a secondary cold front tomorrow will even bring light snowfall to the Western Cape, the Weather Service said. The Western Cape MEC for Local Government, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, Anton Bredal, said the bulk of the rainfall was expected to occur mostly this morning into the afternoon, with continuous showers into tomorrow, but clearing by the afternoon. Bredal said the heavy rain is expected to lead to localized flooding of susceptible formal or informal settlements and roads, low-lying areas and bridges. He added that increased travel times could be expected due to slippery roads and difficult conditions. So again, please be safe wherever you are. Right now, here is a final look at the temperatures for today. We kick it off with you, Polokwane. Do expect a low of 9, peaking at 24 today. Umbombela, expect a low of 15 and a high of 30. Pretoria, your low is 10 with a high of 23. Johannesburg, expect a minimum of 9, peaking at 21. Mahikeng ranges from 7 to 26. Klerksdorp, for you, it is a low of 7 and a high of 25. Kimberley ranges from 5 to 25, but do expect some strong winds coming your way today. Bloemfontein, for you, it is a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 24. Richards Bay ranges from 20 to 30. Pietermaritzburg, if you're out and about, do expect a low of 9 and a high of 29. South Africa's Playground Durban ranges from 18 to 30 today. Mthatha 9.29. East London 14.29. Craddock, for you, it is 6.25. Gqeberha coming through with a low of 12 and a high of 23. George 10.20 with a 30% chance of rain. Now the mother city Cape Town today will experience a 100% chance of rain with a low of 14 and a high of 17. Worcester also coming through with some rain with a low of 7 and a high of 14. Sutherland 6.12, and then last but definitely not least, Uppington ranges from 7 to 24 today. Wherever you do find yourself today on this Thursday, make sure that you're safe, make sure that you stay indoors, but remember to keep it locked right here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. And since Gqeberha is having such a beautiful day today with a high of 23 degrees, Tabiso is very lucky to be there.
Is indeed. He's busy jamming it up all the way out there with Ian Van Memety and the rest of the crew. So let's find out what they've got for us right now.
Well, the thing is, I'm connecting with all of the love that you guys are sending through on Facebook. Everyone is completely blown away by this experience. Ian Van Memety has invited us into his slice of heaven here at his home in Gqeberha, where we're getting to connect with him, and this time around with James Smith. They are collaborators in the show A Handful of Keys, which is absolutely fantastic that this show has been running 27 years. Done over 1,500 shows, sold over a million, half a million tickets, and it's still here, it's still around.
And when you think about it, when I first did this, James wasn't born.
I mean, think about that. Think about that.
So we've got 2 performances coming up in Port Elizabeth on the 4th and 5th of June. We're going to a place called The Music Kitchen, which is not where I normally perform, but it's really cool to work with James, you know, because the show just changes so much when you get this kind of perspective of a young, fresh, wonderful talent.
I love to hear it. What's this experience been like for you, Ian? I mean, I know that you did the show in November as well, and you ran it online. Yeah.
Well, it's been amazing for me because I did the show my first year out of high school with a different member of the cast. So doing it with Ian, again, who's the director and the originator, the amount that I've been able to learn and better myself as a musician, because like obviously my style is very different from Ian's, but Ian has that history and just all those years of doing all those gigs that you can learn how to just be more of a solid musician.
Well, your style, your skill, they are just as extensive as your height. I read that somewhere. For those who don't believe, let's just, before you start, just stand up so you can see what we're dealing with here. Are you ready for the performance?
Yes, I'm ready,
fantastic. Well, here they are. This is from A Handful of Keys. It's Ian and James. Take it away, guys.
Did you notice they didn't ask me to stand up?
Late at night, when it's dark and cold, I reach out since this gig began. It's been good to me. She's been good to me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh
Yeah, and it's a special kind of magic they bring together. The show is inventive, it is funny, and they are so hugely talented. Yeah! Let us know what you thought of that. Hashtag Expresso Show. It's James Smith and Ian von Memety. Still one more performance to go. You want to make sure that you stick around for that.
Oh, I wonder if that performance might involve Tabiso, because then I'm definitely here for it.
He definitely has the layer already. He already has the feather bow. So maybe for the next performance, you can actually get involved.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, everybody. You're still keeping locked right here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Now, the 20th of May has been designated World Bee Day by the United Nations to raise awareness of the importance of bees. Now, bees have been around for thousands of years, but are apparently in danger of extinction. Commercial bee farmer Brendan Ashley Cooper, who's also a part of the Western Cape Bee Industry Association, is connecting with us right now to tell us a bit more about this. A very good morning to you, Brendan.
Good morning, Ryle, Jamie. Thanks very much for having me on your show, and happy World Bee Day from a very wet, cold Cape Town. I think this rain is fantastic for all the wheat and canola farmers and all the other sectors of agriculture that need this rain, so we really appreciate this rain.
Yeah, we're celebrating it, man, and celebrating people like you doing so much good with their energy and their legacy. So we're talking about bees, we're talking about the fact that you are heading up the bee industry and the association, but there's a concern, of course, and let's get straight into it. Bees are being endangered, and the question is why and how come?
I think the world has changed a lot over the last 100 years. In agriculture, we're using a lot more chemicals to get the quality and quantity of fruit. There are a lot of other stressors also that affect the bees, like diseases and lack of good forage. And these all put pressure on very sensitive insects.
I don't know if I told you guys this, but I told you this earlier. Expresso actually has its own beehive just outside of the studio. And I think I want us to stress this a bit more. What is the importance of bees in nature overall? And also, why is it so important to preserve them?
So we always look at bees and we think honey, 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 honey bees. But bees are actually on this planet as pollinators. They're a very integral part of our ecosystem, visiting from one flower to the next and taking pollen from one flower to the next to enable that flower to produce seeds for continuity of those species. So their role on the planet is as pollinators. But even more important, as the global population is expanding so exponentially, there's a huge demand for food now, and food security. Bees have a really important part to play in pollinating fruit trees and vegetables and many of the beautiful foods that we eat.
Now, I love the fact that we're obviously talking about maybe reduction of the consumption of honey might assist this problem. We had a chat with Grant Hines, our techie, about this earlier as well. But when it comes to actually becoming a beekeeper, because like you said, we always associated beekeepers with honey, what is the actual importance in the economy and the economic system when it comes to beekeeping? What is the positivity of that actual process?
Well, for us to assist the farmers, we need to move beehives into fruit farms. We need to prepare beehives and make sure that the bees are strong enough to be able to perform their pollination duties. So they have such an important role in pollinating all the different crops that we eat. And the beekeeper needs to facilitate that and to assist the bees by moving the beehives, by preparing them, making sure the bees are healthy, that we're not spreading diseases, making sure they have enough food, and keeping the colonies strong from year to year so that they're able to do their duties in the spring or whatever time of the year the target crop is.
Well, lots of bees facts coming through. We're going to continue this conversation, so stay tuned for more Bee Talk here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Well, people have been using fermentation to add flavor to food since the Stone Age, and for centuries it's been a labor of love. Now today we still use fermentation in many food products, and while the methods and the processes we use, of fermenting our culinary favorites have changed, it still takes great care and attention. And our Expresso food stylist Nicole Snelling, she's in studio with us, and she's here to help us understand from a culinary perspective, what exactly is fermenting?
So a fermentation process is essentially when it doesn't always have to be yeast. People think fermentation, you use yeast like we've got over here, but fermentation happens naturally through bacteria. So that is basically what it is. So it's a bacteria that eats your carbohydrates or sugars and creates like a gas and essentially flavor. That is what comes out of it.
And that's what we are after. So have you got a little bit of an experiment here?
I have an experiment. So something that we can try at home. So if you want to make like a bread, or even if you want to do a cabbage, you could even slice up a cabbage, put some salt on and let it sit in a sealed jar and let that ferment. But I like to make a starter for bread. I love baking bread. So what you would usually do as a quick fix is add the yeast.
Yeah.
But you don't need it. You just literally need some flour and water.
There we go.
So that's it, and you mix it all up, and you're going to let this sit for a couple days. So the trick is if you want to speed up a fermentation, you can add things like honey or some sugar, and the bacteria will eat it quicker. So you're basically feeding it.
You are. So if you leave this for a couple of days, the process will still happen. It just takes a little bit longer.
It will just take a little bit longer. But yeah, you can feed it a little bit of sugar just to speed up the process.
Oh, there we go.
And that's it. So you would essentially leave this, and you'll see it will literally double in size. And then you would put that into your bread and get the flavor that you want. It creates a very home-baked sourness to it.
And it's safe. It's completely safe, because you're talking about bacteria and adding it to your food. It's completely safe.
It's completely safe. If you will smell when you've left it for too long, and you can smell when it's a bad smell or a good
A good sour.
Yeah, it's almost like an alcoholic smell to it. It's
Okay.
a very yeasty, brewy smell. That means it's a healthy yeast.
And that's the good one that you want. Now, I don't know if you know this, but did you know that Nespresso coffee goes through a fermentation process on its own? Now, the fermenting process, the coffee, you know, they have cherries that are hand harvested. Once picked, the coffee cherries are then coated with yeast. It is then fermented for 72 hours in special containers and before being dried in the sun for 2 days. Now, there's different coffee flavors, and I'm about to use the La Completa Refinada and make us a nice little lungo. There we go.
So when I actually had to develop recipes for this one, when I tasted it for the first time, I could taste the natural fruit fermentation flavors of it. So I was very impressed with this flavor, well, this flavor pod.
There we go.
Is it coming?
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. There we go. Let's try that one more time. Lucky number 3. There we go. That's the sound we want.
There we go. Nice. I was like, I'm waiting for that coffee, Zoe.
I know you are ready for it. I'm going to make both of us this one. And I mean, I love what I love about the La Completa Refinada is it's got that wild fruity notes to it.
Yeah.
There's that cherryness. There's some pomegranate flavors to it. And that's also part of the Nespresso fermenting process, which is very, very interesting.
It's almost like when you open up a pack of dried fruit.
That one's for you.
Thank you.
Okay, I feel like we need to make one more. There we go. And we'll do a lungo. There we go.
So when you open up the packet of fruit and you get that initial smell, that's exactly what I get from this pod. I love it so much.
Oh, well, it's amazing. There's a mild bitterness to it. You can expect, you know, a balanced body and acidity, which really makes this such a great pod. It is smooth and vibrant, and it is made with care. Now, I love the little lesson I got. I feel like this was, if you were my science teacher, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But thank you so much. And of course, if you have a very interesting, you know, fermenting process that you would love to share with us, you can always head on over to the Expresso Facebook page, share those with us, and we will enjoy our coffee. There we go.
What comes from care?
When it comes to making coffee, I see what others don't. In Nicaragua, rare taste is created with care and determination. I let the beans dry and caramelize, turning them into a sweet reward not seen in any other coffee around. When you care, the reward is sweeter.
Made with care. Nespresso. What else?
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It's World Bee Days here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. And earlier on, we spoke to commercial bee farmer Brendan Ashley Cooper about the importance of bee conservation and how people can help preserve our bees. And we are, of course, continuing the conversation right now to commemorate World Bee Day. So thank you so much for staying with us this morning.
Are you still there? Yes? No?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, you're still there. Sorry. The rain is so crazy in the studio. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's so hard to tell if you were still there or not. So we talked about bees earlier. We talked about protecting them and conserving them. And I'm more interested now, and maybe for Mzansi to get to know bees a bit more personally. So I'm aware of the fact that they actually communicate by dancing, which we spoke about earlier, but can you tell us more about these interesting creatures and maybe just a bit about how they live? I mean, dancing as a way of communication, I'm here for that.
So honeybees are incredibly sensitive and gentle little creatures. They communicate a lot using pheromones. They can also be quite fierce, and for us to be able to work with the bees, we work with smoke to dull their senses as far as their pheromonal communication. But they're also incredibly clever and have evolved to do a little dance to teach the rest of the colony where the food sources are. So if a bee finds a wonderful food source out in nature, they'll come back to the hive and they'll do a little dance to tell the other bees and to communicate with them which direction they must go in and where the flowers are for them to collect pollen and nectar.
Oh, wow. I am convinced now you might be a bee because you are always dancing when we give you food or anything. There we go. I think he's a bee.
All the food's over here.
But let's talk about the production of honey. I mean, besides being so delicious, what use can honey have? Because I know sometimes I use it for if I have a cut or if I want to make a face mask. But what are the other things we can use honey for?
So honey is a very versatile, amazing product. As you said, lovely in a cup of rooibos tea or on a piece of toast, bastings and cooking, salad dressings, but also has amazing healing properties for wounds. They've had very good success treating wounds that were resistant to antibiotics by using honey as a dressing. The New Zealand honey, Manuka honey, has been tested to have very high healing properties, and you might have seen it in the shops. It also fetches a high price tag. So, and I'm sure there's many other things that honey has been used for, but that's just a few of them.
Yeah, I mean, the uses that I've heard of are crazy, and the list goes on and on. Now, one crazy fact that I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I think I can ask you to find out, is that I believe bees at one point in time were actually carnivorous, so to speak, and they'd eat other insects, but subsequently have now become vegetarian. Oh, wow. If you could call it that. Is this true? Is there any truth in this? And what was the reason, if so, for the change in this diet?
Well, the bee family is a really large family, of which honeybees is only a small part of the big family, with thousands of different species of bees, solitary bees and social bees. Honeybees, as far as I know, evolved just like all of us and all creatures have evolved into nectar eaters. I don't know too much about them being carnivorous, but if you look at wasps and other insects, they have carnivorous diets, so it's quite possible at some stage that one of the families of honeybees, of bees, not necessarily honeybees, were carnivorous. Lovely pictures you've got of the bees walking into the hives with pollen on their legs.
Yeah.
And maybe just in closing, if anybody wanted to make their, their backyard bee-friendly, how would they go about doing so?
So the biggest challenge to honeybees, or one of the biggest challenges to honeybees, is sufficient food for them and nutrition for them. As humans become more and more, and we use up more and more bee habitat, we're losing food for the bees. So planting bee food is a massive need the world over, creating spaces for bees where the bees can live, where there's pollen and nectar for the bees. Visiting your local nursery, ask them for bee-friendly food, plants, trees, and that will help the bees a lot.
Well, Brendan Ashley Cooper, our head of the Western Cape bee industry, man, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you this morning, getting educated about bees and seeing the great work you're doing, as well as encouraging, I guess, the rest of the world to exactly do the same. So preserve, look after them, encourage more and more bees to grow, plant some food for them as well, and create a beautiful world where we can thrive in coexistence with these incredible creatures, I think, yeah.
Well, it is a busy, busy day, and Graham has two busy bees of his own. That's Leo and Lola. And when it comes to our furry friends, it's very important to make sure that they are leading a healthy life, and an adventure to the beach for a morning of fun activities with the Crazy Store's range of awesome pet products is just what his pups needed.
See, I like to refuel after the live show my pups before they go on a nice, robust walk. And over and above the Best Buds pet nutrition and the whole range of treats, the Crazy Store has the coolest range of pet accessories. Yes, Lola. And we're going to go and see how many of these we can put to the test. But first, a snack. Yeah, guys. Come, boy.
Best Buds dog food is suitable for all adult dogs of all breeds. It's formulated by a leading pet nutritionist and specifically manufactured for the Crazy Store by Montego and made in South Africa.
I know, boy, we're almost there. We're almost there. The one thing we could all do with more of is time. But it doesn't matter how busy you are, it is your responsibility as a pet owner to make time for your dogs. It's good for them and it's really good for us as well. So I've put the brakes on. I'm gonna go feed my soul and my little pup souls for just a moment. Why don't you come for a little walkies? Well, Leo was our first child, like for reals. He was a rescue from a puppy mill with terrible conditions, had, I think, about 5 operations, over 300 stitches to get him looking as beautiful as he does now. And he, as a result, you know, has a really special place in my heart. He's just our therapy dog. He is so cuddly and just so soft. I call him a nanny dog because he really embraces all children, especially our kids. Every behaviorist I've spoken to has said Dachshunds really do need a partner, a friend. And that's when we got Lola. She is completely crazy. She is like the yin and the yang, balancing Leo out. She is so full of energy and she's such a lovely little pup. I can't imagine life without them. Come, guys, good boy. You can see, little one, Lola's built for the iron. She's all speed. Leo's all talk. He's all low end, like first and second gear. They've loved the rope toys today. Normally a rope toy is good for a tug of war, but you can see Lola's absolutely adores it, and I love the fact that she looks so proud. She gets the little lippets on a trot when she gets it. I think they've both absolutely adored the toys. All right, boysels, what's this? Sit. Good boy, sit. Huff, huff, boom. It's a show dog. Good girl, Peony, sitting patiently waiting. I've got to say, it's all about convenience when you're out walking. These collapsible bowls are amazing, lightweight, really sturdy, perfect for a trip on the beach. And then, of course, you've got to make sure that you got your poop bags with you as well, because you don't want to be that person. Good. Good. As I know. This looks like a good spot. Empire Cafe. This is the one. Come this way. Very good, pups. Good girl. Dazzles. Good boy. Was that nice? They get refreshments, I get a little refreshment, everybody wins. How cool is it that shops, certainly in areas like this, are open not only to 2 legs, but 4 legs as well. Love it. Well, I think everyone has had an amazing day, and it certainly has been aided by all of the really cool gadgets and accessories that you can get at the Crazy Store. The grooming stuff is amazing, especially the brush. And coming into a season like this, every change of season, these short-haired dogs will shed a lot, so having the brush is great. These telescopic bowls are absolutely amazing, so useful on a walk, because you always need to be able to refresh. The toys, there's such a wide selection that you can definitely find the one that's going to work for your pup. I think the two rope toys that we played with today, especially the one with the ball, they absolutely loved, especially little Peen. But there really is such a wide array of things. And going into the slightly colder winter months, if your pups need a little extra insulation, they've got the cutest little jerseys, even a hoodie that I think Leo is going to look especially awesome in. But really, such a beautiful wide range, all really good quality and super functional. Love it. Oh, my beautiful boy. Look at that face, man. Oh, absolutely lovely. I think they love today, and so have I. We can learn a lot of lessons from our four-legged friends. Dogs, they always stretch. They definitely stop to literally smell the roses, which we could learn from as well. They're always really cordial and they greet their neighbor, and when they get home, they drink plenty of water. Well, if you've learned one lesson from today, I hope that you are going to put the brakes on and enjoy a little bit of me time with your pups, because they deserve it, and so do you.
They are such cute warthornkies. Oh, they are adorable. Well, listen, if you want to win a hamper filled with pet goodies from the Crazy Store to the value of 350 Rand, then simply reply to the competition post on the Expresso Facebook or Twitter page with a pic of you and your pet, or in fact, just your pet if you want to, and tell us why they would love this hamper.
Yeah, it's simple as that. And remember to include the hashtag #TheCrazyStore. And the competition runs until the Friday, the 21st of May, 2021. And your T's and C's can be found on expressoshow.com. What are you waiting for? Go grab that hamper. Enter, enter, enter.
Come in with a little, leave with a lot. The Crazy Store has a whole range of stuff found to surprise and delight the whole family.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It's Expresso on S3, and it's been a very exciting morning as we continue to celebrate World Bee Day and also looking at how we can be sustainable. And we expect the world's population to soar to almost 10 billion people by the year 2050, and yet we still need to nourish all these people from a planet that has finite resources. Now, the good folks at Knorr are eativists and have devised the Plate of the Nation campaign to help South Africans change their plates to eat better and healthier. And joining us now via video call to share more ahead of the Plate of the Nation virtual roundtable later today is the marketing manager of Knorr South Africa, Chrislyn Ramdio. Good morning, Chrislyn.
Hi Zoe, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and I'm very excited for what's ahead for you for today.
Yes, we're also very excited. We're looking forward to it.
Oh, well, very exciting. Do you mind telling us a little bit more about the Plate of the Nation report and what the research has shown for us about the eating habits of South Africans?
Yeah, so the main purpose of this research is, to really understand what's on the plate of South Africa. So our purpose as a brand is to reinvent food for humanity by getting people to eat in a way that's good for them and the land. And we feel that, as a player in the food industry, we need to play a role to fix the broken food system. So we're going to focus on understanding what is the composition of the plate across different demographics in South Africa, the percentage of meat eaters, vegetarians, flexitarians, and how that is shifting year on year. We're also going to understand our citizens' attitudes towards food and the link to their health, as well as any concerns they have with accessibility to what they perceive as healthy food.
And that's the key, because I think a lot of people think certain things are healthy, but then it all comes down to also portion size and control. Now, Chrislyn, what are some of the key highlights from this report?
So I think the key highlight is that, it's the second time that we are running this report. We haven't seen major shifts at the moment in terms of the composition of the plate. Look, we don't expect change to happen overnight, so it's going to take a long-term effort on our part to make sure that we have, efforts behind this change. So it's going to be a long haul. The interesting thing is that we are a country of meat eaters, so it's about really getting a better balance on the plate. Only 13% of the plate consists of vegetables, and the ideal plate is actually 33% composition of vegetables. So we have a long way to go in getting that composition right. I think another fact is that children in the home also eat in the way adults eat. The composition of the plate is the same. So I think a concern is about really getting the future generation to also eat in a better way and have a more balanced plate. And those are the issues that we're going to be tackling at the roundtable.
And it's a very important conversation to have, because as you were saying, there's that snowball effect about how our families, you pass it on, our eating habits to the children, and they'll continue to do that to their children. Now, when it comes to today's roundtable, why has Knorr decided to go virtual with it? And also, what are some of the main objectives for later today?
Yeah, so we decided to go virtual because obviously of the, the COVID context. We wanted to have a very safe platform for people to still get together and share their thoughts. We really need to understand what the food industry experts and opinion leaders have to say about the report. We want them to share their thoughts, their learnings and recommendations, because as a brand, we cannot do this alone.
Yeah.
So this platform is for everybody to get involved so that we all know we need to be part of the solution.
I love that you're saying that this platform is for everybody. So how can people get involved and be part of this movement?
Yeah, so it's very easy. All you have to do is go to plateofthenation2021.cplus.live and click on the link to register. Or you can even join the conversation on our Knorr social media platforms, so on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Chrislyn, thank you so much for joining us today. All the best with today's virtual roundtable. And of course, we are looking forward to just seeing the impact it will have on South Africans in their everyday lives. So thank you so much, Chrislyn.
Thank you so much for having me.
And good luck for later today.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
There we go. That was Chrislyn. She is the marketing manager for Knorr, and you can sign up for this very important dialogue taking place at 1 p.m. It is at Knorr's Place of the Nation. In fact, it's at the Knorr Plate of the Nation address virtual roundtable, and you can register to join. That registration website's on your screen right now. You can sign up at whatsfordinner.co.za/Knorr/purpose.
Oh, what an awesome initiative, and something that is so good and so healthy for the body. And speaking of healthy, what about a healthy diet, which is so integral to so many parts of our daily lives, such as our mood, our energy, and our ability to focus and perform, of course. Now, this Be Well honey and ginger glazed chicken stir fry is packed full of flavor and ready to devour in minutes. And Mishka Gul is here to show us how it's done. Mishka in the building! You're looking vivacious, you got full of energy, you're glowing. I think the only thing we got to do now is cook.
Yay.
So what are we doing? What's happening?
We are making an immune-boosting stir fry.
Yes, please.
Honey, ginger glazed, full of amazing health benefits. And I think we should just dive right into it.
Yeah, let's get involved.
Okay, so for you, I like to delegate. So
you're putting me to work.
I'm putting you to work,
Nice.
which is the vibe. I am getting you to add all of these amazing ingredients, and while you put them in, Rial's going to basically be getting in the marinade. So what it is the ginger and honey base. So we have 6 tablespoons of honey. You're going to add it into your bowl.
All right.
We got 6 tablespoons of your soy sauce, which adds in the nice amounts of salt. You don't have to add any more salt into this. This is enough. Kind of look after our hearts, minus the salt. Then we have 1 tablespoon of the ginger and garlic paste. And we're going to add that into it as well. We're going to have to keep moving while we get it in.
So
and over there we have our sesame oil. So we're going to use 2 tablespoons. Each ingredient here...
Ooh, it's got that like roastiness of the
like
sesame
a
as well.
nutty
Yeah,
flavor,
I like
isn't
that.
it?
Nice.
There we go.
And this was obviously the
And that is the soy sauce.
soy sauce, all right. So really
And you'll notice that it's a lot of honey in there, and that is actually because this is part of the immune boosting components of this meal.
Okay.
Including the sesame oil. That's such a nice way to add zinc into your diet. Oh, what are you adding there? The ginger,
the
garlic.
ginger and the garlic paste that you just
Naturally
mentioned. yeah.
antibacterial, naturally antiviral. This thing is so versatile.
You and I need to hang out. I love this. I love the way you just like, it's rolling off the tongue. Yes, man.
And then last but not least, you're going to add over here, this is some lemon juice. Again, beautiful thing that alkalines the body. We need it for immune boosting components.
Smiling here, listening to you. It's like poetry coming out of you, man. And then lastly, we've got
your
the...
chili flakes.
Okay.
You know, gotta need a little spicy. And again, this increases just the vivacity of the body. You'll have good blood flow. And just for flavor, you know, we need our flavor.
Can I just like drink this on its own? I mean, you just made this alone sound so good.
Right?
And we're only working on like, what is this, the puree or the sauce?
So this is the marinade that we're going to use for our
Marinade,
chicken.
okay. All
So
right.
this is obviously not a vegan recipe, but it's so versatile. This could be mushrooms right here. This could be tofu. And then as soon as you're done stirring that, we're going to get that in.
Okay.
In the
So am I doing the honors here whilst
You
I'm
are
stirring?
doing the full honors. I told you I'm
Okay.
putting you to work.
I'm popping it over the chicken, right?
There we go.
Okay.
And I am putting on my pan. So ideally, we would have this marinate for quite a long time, at least 30 minutes minimum. But you can even do this overnight, stick it in the fridge. If it's vegetables, you're going to just leave it also, not overnight, but like 30 minutes is perfect.
And by the way, it is smelling so good.
Right?
So good.
Ooh, all that ginger, all
Right.
that honey.
So where do we go to next? Because this seems like a good step already, yeah.
So while that sits to the side, I'm going to quickly roast my cashews, another excellent way to get in that zinc, to get in amazing amounts of phytonutrients. I'm just going to give it a little stir in the pan.
Nice. All right, so the pan is obviously got to be quite hot for this
Yeah, I
process,
actually
yeah?
did a little preheat on this.
I'll play it.
So while this is heating up, you're going to just keep stirring so that it gets coated.
Right.
And I'm going to go through what we have on the table over here. You'll notice these are lots of green, and leafy greens is another way to smash in your vitamin C.
Yeah.
Bok choy is one of the strongest components of immune boosting, highly anti-inflammatory. It's incredible. Okay, so this looks nice and toasted. I am going to put this to the side as smooth as I'm able to.
Pop it in there, nice.
And we're going to get our chicken cooking.
Whew, I was waiting for this part.
I love that sound.
That's when you know things are alive, the kitchen has come to play, and so are we. And like I said, I know I said this before, but the smell is so good.
Right.
It's already giving me that sort of oriental feel, if that makes sense.
Yes. And that is so important for, you know, flavor. If we're eating for the soul, our body feels good. It makes it easier to actually go for like the healthy alternatives instead of doing processed foods, which just your immune system does not like in the
Could
end.
not agree with you anymore there, right? So this is the fast and the quick part, right?
This is the slower part of the whole thing.
Okay.
It's getting the chicken cooked and getting all of that juices come out. As soon as the chicken is cooked, we're basically going to be tossing in these. And then it's a quick, literally a quick stir fry.
And that's...
Once you have this down, you have the whole thing down. And again, like I said, it's so versatile to go vegan, to go... You can add you can add prawns, you can add your meat if that's what you're into. This is the ultimate way to just serve your family, serve your friends, make everyone feel good.
And of course, guys, you just tuned in. You can get this recipe inspiration on expressoshow.com. We've got all the tips and all the ways to maybe even put in some alternatives. And literally, once you're done and once the chicken is cooked, all you got to do is add in these healthy alternatives when it comes to your greens, your veg, and there you'll have it, that perfect honey glazed chicken stir fry. Mishka Gul in the building, showing us how it's done, showing us all the value in this.
That we have it here.
We have it right here. In case you missed it, here's a recap. Check it out.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso on S3, and it's been a good morning, a very busy one, and Tabzi is all the way in Kabeja.
Right now, we are crossing over live to them where Ian from Moment is standing by for one final performance to hype up this Thursday.
Well, this morning's been absolutely magical, spending time with the Van Mermaties. Of course, it's been all about the shows coming up. It's been about, waking up with the man who is the poster man for showbiz. And of course, we're going to wrap this up now, a final performance that's going to really just set your appetite buzzing for some good times. This is Bohemian Rhapsody with Ian Van Mermaty.
Thank you, Tabis.
master pianist Ian Van Mamity here on your Feel Good Breakfast show. It really has been such a joy. What can't you play? I mean, classics, jazz, rock.
Can't cook. I cannot cook.
Well, luckily we've had...
and also, really, I'm not dressed appropriately. Can you imagine this in the kitchen? And ladies and gentlemen,
now it's time to make something to eat. Thank you very much, the Von Mamitys, for having us today. James Smith, you've been fantastic. And of course, Mrs. Vivian Von Mamity has made sure there's a time when we had coffee overflowing. Honestly, thank you very much, guys. We've loved it. Thank you very much. Pure magic.
Oh, it was magical indeed. What a wonderful morning. Tabiso, thank you so much for joining us live from Kabeja.
Yeah, Ian Van Mamity and the entire family, thank you much for the magic, for everybody else that came through on our World Bee Day. Let's go celebrate, let's go preserve, and let's go conserve this beautiful playground we call our planet, of course. And again, thank you so much to
Yeah,
Cubs.
and tomorrow we're going to be crossing live again to Kabeja. We're going to bring you the Friday dance all the way live from there. So stick around for that. But we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Bye. We love you. Mwah.
Here's to family favorites and recipes passed from mothers to daughters. Made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.